What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 5FM. Chapter 116 Luo Ning. Want me to be her son-in-law. Open black lens bracket subscribe close black lens bracket. Since Katakuri himself came to the door, Luo Ning would naturally meet with him. Soon, Katakuri was brought to Luo Ning's side. Hi, Lord Luo Ning, I'm Katakuri from the Big Mom Pirates. Katakuri introduced himself. As for the status of one of the four generals, he did not reveal it. One is that this status is nothing in front of others, and the other is that it is shameful to introduce himself as a general. I know you, so what is your purpose? Luo Ning didn't talk nonsense, and went straight to the point, which also made Katakuri's forehead seep a few drops of sweat. I'm here to send you an invitation letter, to invite you to my mother's tea party. Katakuri stammered a little, making someone like him stutter. It shows how nervous his heart is now. After all, he might die if he doesn't pay attention now. And it's a small matter that he died, and if he angered others, the whole Big Mom pirate group would be gone. An invitation to a tea party. What is that? Nami was a little puzzled, although she learned a lot after following Luo Ning, but the emphasis was on navigation sea knowledge. As for the division of power in the sea and so on, Nami only got a general idea, because she didn't know about the mother's tea party. The invitation letter for the tea party. I remember that it usually has something to do with the wedding of your brothers and sisters. Is any of you getting married? Luo Ning was a little interested. The tea party is one of the specialties of the ant. The ant feels that if she wants to become the One Piece king, she must form a large enough force, and it also requires a large force to form a world, so she has been giving birth to children, using her children as bargaining chips. These bargaining chips marry other people's daughters or marry others, so as to continuously strengthen their own power of all nations. The tea party is usually accompanied by this, and the tea party usually invites famous figures in the sea, and these people dare not lose face to the ant, so they all go back. Of course, the invitation letter received by the protagonist of the tea party is different, as it was received by Sanji. It was his wedding. If he didn't go, then the head of the person he cared about the most would be delivered next time. Who was Sanji most concerned about? Naturally, the members of the Red Foot Zeph and the Straw Hat Pirates. He couldn't imagine the consequences of not going, so he finally chose to leave. Fortunately, aunts are usually lunatics, and their weaknesses are very obvious. Otherwise, if they bump into aunts this time, they will basically disappear. During Luffy's time, it was too early to meet the four emperors. Of course, whoever killed Luffy would be buried with Luffy. After all, in this sea, no matter who has the biggest backstage, it is undoubtedly Luffy. Whoever kills Luffy will be chased to death by Luffy's backers, no need to think about it. Now the invitation letter has been sent to Luo Ning, but Luo Ning didn't think that the ant is here for him, he just thinks that this is the ant's plan to invite him to her child's wedding, that's all. But dare to send an invitation letter to myself, because my mother is quite courageous. Actually, what mom means is that you will be one of the protagonists of this tea party, and you can choose any of mom's daughters. Advertisement. Stretching his head and retracting his head was a knife. Katakuri simply became cruel, and said everything he needed to say directly. What? It wasn't just Luo Ning who made a voice of doubt, but several other people were also confused, and even Luo Ning wondered if he had heard it wrong. Auntie has lost her mind again. Who in the whole sea doesn't know that Luo Ning is an existence that must not be provoked? What happened? In the end, Aunt actually wanted to recruit herself. So, Aunt is planning to recruit me as her son-in-law. Are you serious? Luo Ning looked at Katakuri speechlessly and asked. Master Luo Ning, everyone on the sea knows our mother's character, we have nothing to do. Katakuri held back for a long time before giving out the reason. Luo Ning was not surprised. Indeed, Big Mom's insane character often caused many things. And her sons and daughters dare not disobey the ant's intentions. People say that the poison of a tiger does not eat its children, but this sentence does not work for the ant at all. The ant's loyalty treats the children as tools. This tool is easy to use, she naturally praised it without hesitation, but if the tool is not easy to use, then naturally she just discarded it. Asking for flowers. 0. So the ant has killed several children, whoever dares to disobey the ant, even he, the General Star Ant, will not easily spare him. I almost understand that Charlotte Linlin's personality is indeed a mad dog personality, but you also know that I can't agree to this kind of thing. Under the premise that I don't agree, your mother will not let me go easily. At that time, it seems that there will only be one left between me and Yuan Guo. Luo Ning stared at Katakuri in front of him, which put a lot of pressure on Katakuri. As Luo Ning said, the ant's lunatic character will not let Luo Ning go. Once Luo Ning refuses the invitation to the tea party, the ant will definitely send someone to target Luo Ning. At that time, the two sides will be in an endless situation, and their entire pirate group and Luo Ning will continue to die, and the consequences will be unimaginable. Everyone knows that Luo Ning cannot be provoked, so in the end there is only one consequence, the destruction of all nations. We know very well what the consequences will be, but we can't disobey our mother's wishes, so we can't choose in the end. When it really comes to this scene, can you please spare my brothers and sisters? Katakuri has lowered his stance to a very low level. To be honest, I really appreciate you, the whole Big Mom Pirates, you are the one I like the most. Compared to those guys who have no concept of family affection, you are undoubtedly better. But it's a pity that the boss of your family is a lunatic, and what about you people? You are not innocent, you know this very well, right? Hearing Luo Ning's evaluation, Katakuri was also a little surprised. He didn't expect such a big man like Luo Ning to be so optimistic about him. What price do I have to pay? Katakuri asked. He knew very well that Luo Ning had talked to him so much, but he didn't directly kill him or let him go, so there was still something to talk about. It's very smart. Those of your brothers and sisters who don't do evil outside, I can let them go, but those who destroy other countries and kill countless people, I will send them to the deep sea prison. As for you, I want you to replace Charlotte K. Linlin as the new master of the nations, and directly establish the nation. Luo Ning expressed his plan. Chapter 117. Katakuri's compromise. Open black lens bracket. Subscribe close black lens bracket. Undoubtedly, Luo Ning can easily destroy the entire 10,000 kingdoms, but doing so also comes at a great price. New World is the territory of pirates, the paradise of pirates. The revolutionary army is still too weak. They can't defeat the world government yet. Even if they defeat the world government, it will take a lot of time to control New World. That's enough time for the common people of the New World to be *****ed. Why does Luo Ning hate Roger? It is because the era of great pirates triggered by Roger has made the lives of ordinary people more tragic. I don't know how many people died in that era because of Roger's words, and it was extremely miserable. People with normal 3 views will not like Roger's operation. Luo Ning is naturally the same, although he also made a lot of troubles, but Luo Ning is also trying to avoid such things from happening. Otherwise, he would simply kill all the people in Naval Headquarters and let Marine completely collapse. He can do this kind of thing easily, but the result will not be very good. He doesn't want to be Roger number 2, the New World side, the people on the territory of the 4 emperors. Only Kaido's people are living in dire straits. As for the other 4 emperors, even the Big Mother, the people who are blessed live well of. Although they need to pay part of their lifespan, this lifespan is simply not worth it in this era when no one knows whether they can live to the next day. People under Dama's rule can live very well as long as they pay this part of the reward. But this is based on the fact that Wangguo is still there, so Luo Ning does not intend to break this point, so he needs Katakuri to take over Wangguo. Undoubtedly, Katakuri's strength cannot do this, but with he can. He will not directly accept Katakuri as his subordinate. After all, Katakuri is a pirate. Of course, there is no difference between this guy as his subordinate. After all, Katakuri is still the same to listen. It's just that Katakuri doesn't have this title. He will become the king of the nations and turn the nations into a real country. As for economic income, etc., what is their best at IWC? Food and desserts can completely rely on this to become an industrial chain, and then develop others, which is enough for them to survive. Send to Impel down. My lord, can you send them to the 6th floor? Katakuri pondered for a while. His mother must not be able to keep it. As for the other brothers and sisters, they can keep as much as they can. This is Katakuya's only thought now. As for the remaining ones who were being targeted, Katakuri knew that there was nothing he could do. It was already very good that the other party didn't catch him. You know, his hands were also stained with a lot of blood. Even though those things were not what he was willing to do, he still did it. Luo Ning was kind enough to let him go. The calculation is good. You want them to suffer less, right? But you have to know, Katakuri, you don't have the capital to bargain with me. If it wasn't for stabilizing the situation in the world, I wouldn't even fight with you nonsense here. Luo Ning knew what Katakuri was thinking. Although the 6th floor was the lowest floor of the deep sea prison and also the most closely guarded floor, the punishment on this floor would be slightly less, of course only slightly. The 6th floor does not mean that it is completely safe. Sometimes there will still be jailer beasts to beat up some prisoners who can handle it. Of course, some are not good, such as Bullet. The jailer's beast will die if it enters, and even if a conqueror's comes out, the jailer's beast will be scared away. The weaker ones on the 6th floor will be targeted by the jailer beast, but not very often. The people locked up on the 6th floor are not given preferential treatment, but the so-called punishments are not of much use to them, and may even allow them to escape. Advertisement. Therefore, it is completely blocked. As for the food, it is only a little, and it is guaranteed not to starve to death. For these people, the biggest torture is undoubtedly to deprive them of their freedom. Keep them in that dark place. Luo Ning didn't intend to give Katakuri too much preferential treatment, he had already given it, and Katakuri had no leverage to talk to him a second time. I see. Katakuri nodded, he didn't have much hope. Then, can you allow me to visit the prison? Katakuri asked again. That's fine. With your status at that time, the king of a country, of course you can. Luo Ning nodded, which made Katakuri heave a sigh of relief, at least he could still see. He knew how many members of his family liked to burn, kill and loot. Some of them, like him, are not very happy to do this kind of thing, but they have to do it in order to stabilize the ant. Part of it is to enjoy these things very much. To know the previous nations, it is simply indescribable. Katakuri himself was ridiculed by others, and even Bree was disfigured by this incident. Of course, Bree doesn't have a good face, otherwise he wouldn't become an old man after being stabbed in the face the look of a witch. Originally my next target was Kaido's, but since you came first, I'd better go to Wangguo, and deal with your matter as soon as possible. Luo Ning originally planned to find trouble with Kaido, but 4 emperors had already created one, so he naturally wanted to find the person who made him most unhappy, and the person who made him most unhappy was undoubtedly Kaido. But the arrival of Katakuri disrupted his plan, so now he plans to go directly to Wangguo first. Regarding this, Katakuri also had nothing to say, but there was no other way. This time the ant was probably doomed, even though it was his mother, he had no choice. He can only save what can be saved as much as possible, as for the others, he really can't handle it. Now Luo Ning answered 5.0 to him, which is already a huge setback. Although he will definitely bear the infamy of betraying his mother and brothers and sisters in the future, Katakuri doesn't care about these, as long as he can save the lives of his brothers and sisters is enough. After Katakuri left, he called Bree's phone bug, but he didn't choose to tell the other brothers and sisters the news. After all, this matter should not be too ostentatious, he knows the personalities of his brothers and sisters clearly. Once he told the other party, he would definitely turn his back on him. After all, no one wanted to stay in that big prison, so he just told Bu Lei about it. And telling Bu Lei also has a purpose, he is afraid that Bu Lei will transfer people away directly, such a thing can be done by Bu Lei, her mirror fruit ability is too special. Chapter 118 Going to the Nations Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription Close Black Lens Bracket. Katakuri Big Brother, are you telling the truth? Are you really going to do this? Do we need to do this? After listening to Katakuri's words, Bree was taken aback. After making such a decision, few members of the entire Charlotte family would be spared. Those who go to sea to do things will pay the price, and those who are a little safer are those who have been discarded and have not gone to sea much. For example, she was abandoned early in the morning, and no one took her to sea, nor did she have any rights. There are not many such people in Charlotte's family. For example, Bolin is also, although Bolin is still vicious at this time, but Bolin's nature is not bad, and viciousness is just a layer of packaging prepared to protect himself. In the end, after Sanji broke the defense with a word, the whole person has changed. In the Charlotte family, the kind people have probably become corpses, not to mention the people like Bu Lin who have been bullied since childhood. But there is no doubt that they haven't gone to sea very much, and have always stayed in Wonguo, so this time they escaped a catastrophe. But there are not many such people in the Charlotte family. Listen to Bu Lei, we have no choice. You know Luo 21 Ning's strength very well. Even if Mom and all of us go up together, there is only one final result, and that is fiasco. Now I can keep only a small group of people, and I don't want to take this small group of people in, you know. Katakuri's words reached Bree's ears again. If it were someone else, they might think that Katakuri was greedy for life and afraid of death. After all, he became king and he didn't have to pay any price. Only his brothers and sisters are paying the price. Among all the people, the one who knows Katakuri best is Bree, and the two have had a good relationship since childhood. And Bree was also disfigured because of Katakuri. So she is very clear that Katakuri is trying to keep some people as much as possible, so that the entire family will not be killed. I know, when the time comes, I will hide in the mirror space and won't bring other brothers and sisters with me. Bree finally nodded. She knew that Katakuri had no choice now. If Big Mom is a sharp sword on their heads, then Jinning is a mountain. A falling sword may not be able to stab them to death, but when a mountain falls down, everything about them will be destroyed. That's good, let's leave it at that. We will return to 10,000 kingdoms in a few days, and everything will change by then. After Katakuri finished speaking, he hung up the phone, and now he is waiting for Luo Ning to set off and he will lead the way. In fact, Katakuri also knew that even if there was no tea party this time, Luo Ning would not let Ant off in the future, and they knew exactly how many assholes their Charlotte family had done. There will always be a price to pay. He has been working hard to improve his strength, just to stabilize the situation after the death of the Ant. After all, no one can live forever, Ant is not young now. Big Mom was originally the most likely person among the 4 emperors to become One Piece. Advertisement. His talent among the 4 emperors is not even matched by Whitebeard, not even Roger. But the Ant wasted most of her time on giving birth. She gave birth to so many children in total. Even if there were several children in one child, it would take 10 months to conceive. So the Ant wasted a lot of time on giving birth, which is outrageous. Otherwise, with the talent of the Ant, it is estimated that everyone else would be rubbed on the ground by her. Auntie often goes crazy, and the loopholes left by this are so big that she was almost hammered into the sea by Jinbei, knocked down by Quinn with a headbutt, and even arrested. If Kaido hadn't let her go, it would be hard for her in the future up. In short, a series of operations. Big Mom's madness made Katakuri very disturbed. He didn't know when Big Mom would die from this kind of madness, so he had to become stronger and become the pillar to keep his brothers and sisters. Now he has no choice, no time to make him stronger, so now he can only compromise, and he doesn't think that he can become as strong as Luo Ning in his lifetime, which is very unrealistic. Soon, everyone left Rosa. Although Shirahoshi was also reluctant to part with Rebecca, after all, they were playmates of the same age, but it was impossible for Shirahoshi to leave Rosa. Although King Liku intended to send Rebecca to on Luo Ning's side, Rebecca can hold her thigh. But Luo Ning directly rejected it. Rebecca didn't know that she still had her father and relatives in the past. Now she directly let the other party go, which is a bit too cruel. After all, Rebecca is just a little girl, so let her continue to stay in Rosa to reunite with her family. Although her mother is gone, at least her father and grandfather are still there. As for Violet, she is also staying in Rosa now, and Luo Ning has already notified Zephyr that Zephyr needs to come over to pick up the criminals, so that he can take Violet back when he goes back. Luo Ning's ship followed Katakuri's ship to the 10,000 kingdoms. No one dared to approach because of the flags of both sides along the way, but this matter was also paid attention to by many people. After all, Luo Ning's ship can be said to be stared at by countless people, and now it is mixed with the Charlotte family, and Luo Ning did not directly kill Katakuri, but followed him to Wangguo, which is 257 points. It's intriguing. Those idiots only know about random reports, just wait, you will be slapped in the face soon. YF2F. Morgans looked at the reports produced by other newspapers with disdain. He also asked Luo Ning after receiving the news, and Luo Ning did not hide it from him, so he told Morgans the specific situation. So Morgans did not report too much on this matter, but planned to wait until Luo Ning arrived in Wangguo. As for the newspapers of these colleagues, there is no doubt that Luo Ning may have taken a fancy to the aunt's daughter or gave the aunt a face to attend the tea party. After all, the news that the aunt's tea party will be held again has already spread. Looking at these reports, Morgans thought it was funny. In the past, these people could still drink a sip of soup from him, but this time, they probably didn't have a sip of soup. Morgans didn't care about this, but printed a large number of newspapers waiting to be distributed, but others were not calm when they saw these newspapers. If Luo Ning really got involved with Dama, the consequences would be unimaginable. An existence like Luo Ning is not a pirate, but his weight is too heavy, and his bias towards any side will cause the balance to lose control. If it is on the side of the pirates, it means that it will be a disaster. Chapter 119 Worries from Major Forces. Open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. Father, this matter is not good for us. He didn't do anything to Katakuri, but followed him to the 10,000 kingdoms. No matter how you look at it, he has goodwill towards the Big Mom pirates. Once Luo Ning favors the Big Mom pirates, then we will be greatly affected. On the Mobity, after reading the newspaper, Marco's face was very solemn. Luo Ning has never had much affection for pirates. This is known to many people, but the other party does not have much affection for Marine either. What they do depends entirely on their own interests, but in their view, Luo Ning has his own bottom line, but now that he is doing this, the previous bottom line guesses are useless. It's really interesting, but we don't know exactly what will happen. Let everyone get ready, just in case. Whitebeard doesn't take the initiative to fight with other people. The mode he only uses now is the defensive mode. After all, his own body is very clear. Once he hits him, he will become weaker again, until he finally loses his strength. I see, I will inform the brothers on Big Mom to come back, and don't have any conflicts with them. Marco nodded and went to inform the others. Shanks, what do you think? Will this guy really fall in love with the crazy woman's daughter Charlotte Linlin? After all, that guy is indeed accompanied by a few beauties, maybe he will be more lustful. Because of being scolded by Luo Ning, Usopp has a lot of opinions on Luo Ning, and now even if he reads the newspaper, he doesn't like him. Don't let your emotions affect your ability to think. That man can't do such a thing, right, Baker? Shanks glanced at the newspaper and tossed it aside. Yes, it is true that such a thing cannot be done, but no matter what he will do next, the pattern of New World should change. As a think tank, Beckman could see it, but Usopp was not convinced. The others knew that Usopp didn't like Luo Ning, so they didn't say much. On Kaido's side, because Kaido disappeared again, his subordinates couldn't find him at all, and the three calamities didn't dare to make any movement, so they chose to wait and see, but Marine's side started to make noise again. After Sengoku retired, Akainu took the position, but Admiral's position was vacant. Marine did not carry out world conscription. After all, this wave of events has brought Marine's reputation to its lowest point. Under such circumstances, it is impossible to carry out world conscription. Gion and Cake, who are substitutes for Admiral, are not strong enough to be Admiral, so there is now a vacant position. Is this guy really planning to join forces with the Big Mom pirates? Is he really a womanizer? Akainu looked at the latest information and couldn't understand it. The only connection between Luo Ning and the Big Mom pirates was his love for the other party's daughter. He really couldn't think of anything else that could impress Luo Ning. A womanizer. Although there are indeed such rumors outside, if he is really a womanizer, Gion may not be able to come back, Boa Hancock won't even be unable to enter the gate of Yin. Regarding Hancock's rejection, Marine's eyeliner at the prison had already sent back the news. Although Luo Ning was surrounded by a few girls, they were not the kind of womanizers mentioned in those lace newspapers. Otherwise, as the pirate empress, Hancock, known as the most beautiful on the sea, would not be unable to enter even the gate of Impel down. Advertisement. Okay, so what's going on? Judging from the information we've learned, he shouldn't be soft on the Big Mom pirates, right? How could he let go of one of the generals, Kataku Ticket? Kizaru said he couldn't understand. Can't you use your brains? Don't you notice that Morgans hasn't moved at all? Crane couldn't help rubbing her temples. She missed Sengoku a little bit. Sengoku is the resourceful general. She doesn't need to say much about many things, but these guys need her to spend twice as much brain power. That's right, Morgans, as Luo Ning's subordinate, usually releases any news immediately, and everyone else can only follow him to drink soup. On the contrary, this time, he didn't make any movement on such news. There's something tricky about it. Kizaru also reacted. Either way, it's good news for Marine, they can take advantage of it. The pattern of New World remains unchanged, and without much improvement in Marine combat power, it is simply not enough to enter New World, so Akainu feels that the opportunity has come. Single quote dot. It's better not to be too impulsive. Luo Ning is erratic in his actions, no one knows what he will do next, Lee's rash actions will only bring trouble to himself. Quote. Akainu, the representative of the Hawks, has become the marshal, and now there is a chance for Marine to enter the New World, so why not do it? In the past, Akainu spent most of his time in the New World branch to prevent the branch from being targeted by pirates. The four emperors are staring at it, and Admiral needs to guard it to have a base. No matter what he is going to do, our Marine also needs to be prepared. If the New World becomes chaotic, then it is undoubtedly an opportunity for our Marine. Kizaru shook his head helplessly. As a salted fish, he is also very helpless now that he is asked to work all day. Akainu can't move casually as the marshal now, and Aokiji's combat power is not complete, so Kizaru, who has the strongest mobility, can only go. No matter what Luo Ning does, there will always be some movement anyway. In another way, Luo Ning will attack Big Mom, and when one four emperors falls, the other four emperors will stare at the four emperors' territory, so that New World will become chaotic again. Crane tried to persuade her, but she was just giving advice, and it was Akainu who made the final decision. It is simply impossible to expand the territory. No matter what he does, it will be beneficial to us. This matter is settled. Pelusilino, you go. There are only two possibilities. One is that Luo Ning will form an alliance with the other party. Although the probability is very small, in this way, Big Mom will definitely choose to expand the territory and have conflicts with other four emperors. In the past, although Marine had troops stationed in New World, they were all in a passive defensive posture. Although it is said that the salary is in place and the four emperors are useless, the salary is not in place. The salary Admiral gets is still the same, but a lot of Aokiji's work and the original Akainu's work are now piled on his head. Let him be a salty fish, I can't take it anymore. I really work hard, my salary is not high at all, but the work I do is so much more. Chapter 120 Welcome from all nations. Open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. I didn't expect Katakori's big brother to really do it and bring Luo Ning to the world. Who do you think Luo Ning will fall in love with? At this moment, Wang Guo thought that Luo Ning was persuaded by Katakori and fell in love with their sister or one of them. So much so that now they are talking about it. I guess it's Sister Smoothie. After all, Sister Smoothie is one of the general stars, and she is also very beautiful. I think it must be Sister Smoothie. Who said it must belong to Sister Smoothie? Don't forget that Luo Ning's body is the same height as a normal person. Sister Smoothie is 4.6 meters tall. Do you think it is possible? Maybe it's Bulin. You must know that she is now a popular person beside my mother, although that eye is indeed a little disgusting. You dare to say it. If you don't want to cause trouble, just keep your mouth shut. She is now a celebrity around my mother. If you dare to say that about her, if she makes trouble for you, you will be finished. A series of discussions about who Luo Ning would like to rang out on Cake Island, and these people who were discussed were very helpless. These people's mouths are really annoying enough, but this time it's really troublesome, and I don't know who among us has been fancy. 900. The daughters of these aunts who are now being discussed are all gathered together. It can only be said that aunts basically depend on the husband for raising children. These daughters are of various shapes. The beautiful ones are represented by Blin and Smoothie, while the ugly ones are really ugly. Some exaggeration. Among those who are already married, there are also many who look strange. Forget it, let's not talk about this, we will find out when Katakori's big brother comes back, and they will arrive in about a day. Smoothie interrupted the conversation. That's right, there is still a day or so to go. The guard of honor is ready to receive Dewey Lee with the highest standard. Another aunt's daughter also nodded. I don't know why, but there is always a very strange feeling. If Katakori big brother really succeeds, then we should be notified first to prepare. Why is there no news at all? On Bulin's side, she always felt that something was wrong. The news from Katakori was too little, just a few words. Don't worry, if the other party really targets us, Katakori big brother won't be able to come back, so just relax. Everyone else shook their heads. Although they were a little uneasy, Brilliant still chose to remain silent. In this way, time passed quickly, and soon Luo Ning's boat followed Katakori's boat to Cake Island. I always feel that this place is more like a fairy tale than Sky Island and the Fishman Island, but it is the territory of the four emperors. Looking at the surrounding environment, Nami said that this place really exists like a fairy tale. It's indeed a fairy tale, that's right, after all, there are even old witches in fairy tales. Luo Ning smiled, isn't the image of the ant just like an old witch? These things look very beautiful, but to be honest, that's all. It seems extremely beautiful and desirable, but the Charlotte family is not so good. Advertisement. Of course, it's okay for them internally, but it's only when they grow up. This was not the case when they were young. Even Katakori was often ridiculed because of his mouth when he was young. But Katakori is also a strange thing, because eating donuts makes the mouth look like that, can't you eat it one bite at a time? You have to be bored so much in one bite. In this regard, Katakori is also a bit like the ant, the brain circuit is really completely different from normal people. What a lively welcome ceremony, they don't know what they are going to experience yet. Robin saw the welcoming team on the shore, and now she felt that these guys were a little pitiful. Such a welcoming ceremony ushered in an enemy, which was really frustrating. CBCC Katakori, you don't have to worry about the next thing. Take away the brothers and sisters you think are okay. Of course, those people also need to pass my test. They can't pass my test. It's up to you to know their consequences. Luo Ning looked at Katakori and asked him to screen for himself first. Although Luo Ning screened it quickly, after all, he reads minds, but in many people's hearts, Luo Ning disdains to read, it's too disgusting. I see, I'll pick up those people first. Bree, come out. Having returned to Wanguo, Bree's ability is also connected to Katakori's ship. After Katakori's voice fell, an old witch with completely different clothes and appearance appeared. Here it is, a witch. Seeing Bu Lei's appearance, Shirahoshi was taken aback. After all, Bu Lei's appearance is indeed a bit bluffing. Sorry to scare you, but that's what I look like, and I'm not a witch. Bree was very helpless, and she had nothing to say about her appearance. Although she always attributed her appearance problem to her past disfigurement, to be honest, slashing her with a knife would not make her look like this. To put it bluntly, it was because the genes of the ant were too strong, and it directly turned her into the appearance of this witch. In the past, Bree had already caught people into the mirror space, but now she dare not. After all, there are Luo Ning and others here, Katakori and Luo Ning and others are on a boat, I dare not make a mistake even if I appear here. It can be let go, and the ability is good. This may become one of the core forces for the future development of your Charlotte family. Bree did not do many harmful things, after all, he is an abandoned existence. Most of the time, she just targets these people who look down on her. That's good. Katakori breathed a sigh of relief. His relationship with Bree is the best, even if Bree's face is disfigured, this matter has something to do with him, so he has always taken care of Bree. It is also good news that Bree can let go now, and Bree was also relieved to hear this. She knows where those brothers and sisters will be sent next, that's Impel down. At most, it is for Katakori's sake to ensure that these people will not die, but in the deep-sea prison, immortality is not good news. Of course, those who are imprisoned on the 6th floor will feel more comfortable, but those who are not strong enough to be imprisoned on the 6th floor will feel uncomfortable. Okay, Bree, send the people on the list I told you to your mirror space first, and let them come out after the outside matters are dealt with. Katakori has returned to the topic, and these people cannot be allowed to come out to make trouble and die. Chapter 121 Bree's action open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. I see, but is there only so much? Bree looked at the names on the list, and they were all familiar, but there were too few of them. Compared with his brothers and sisters, the names on this list were really too few. A lot. This is just what I have listed. I can't judge what they have done. There may be even less. Katakori shook his head. He has already listed as many as he can, but he knows people, face but not heart, so who knows what these people are like. In the end, it depends on Luo Ning, screening. After listening to Katakori's words, Bree stopped talking nonsense, but chose to leave directly. The words have been made very clear, so there is no choice. After Bree left, she located the position of other brothers and sisters through her own mirror space. Although it is known that the mirror is the medium of Bu Lei's ability, there are not many people in Wanguo who will not use mirrors. After all, such things as mirrors are indispensable. And Bree is her own, so she naturally wouldn't do anything to her own people, so everyone will have a mirror by their side. This thing is sometimes a life-saving talisman. With Bu Lei, it can send people to the mirror space in critical moments. If others don't have this ability, they will naturally be unable to find their existence. This is also one of the fruits of bugs. The door fruit is similar to the mirror fruit, except that the door fruit does not need any medium and can open the door with anything. But on the other hand, the door fruit is not as changeable as the mirror fruit, it just simply opens the door and enters a different space. Found you. Through the mirror space, Bree pulls one person after another directly into his own mirror space. These people are all people who Katakori judged have never left 10,000 kingdoms. Even if some of these people are evil in nature, at least they have never done anything wrong outside. So he directly included those who had never left and those who he thought were kinder. Bray, what are you doing? Why are you suddenly pulling us into your mirror space? The people who were pulled in all looked at Bu Lei in a daze. Bu Lei struck so fast that they were pulled in before they had time to react. This is an order from Katakori's big brother, so please leave it alone. Bu Lei said helplessly. Everyone's face changed when they heard her words. No one here is a fool, so Katakori's operation made them feel that something was wrong. Bu Lei, you know what, right? Tell us, what will happen? What kind of agreement did Kataku big brother reach with Luo Ning? Bu Lin, who felt that something was wrong before, opened her mouth, and now she is eager to know what will happen. After today, the Big Mom pirates will no longer exist in this world. Katakori's big brother and Luo Ning have reached a deal, the pirate group is destroyed, some of the evil brothers and sisters will be sent to Impel down, as for the mother, she may be sent to Impel down, or she may be killed directly. Bree briefly told these people what Katakori had told her earlier. Are you kidding me? How could Katakori big brother do such a thing? Some people find it incredible, after all, Katakori cares most about family affection. Advertisement. Katakori big brother has no choice. Only by doing so can we keep this part of you. Why do you think Katakori big brother asked me to pull you into the mirror space in advance? Bu Lei immediately changed his face. In her opinion, Katakori has already paid enough, and Katakori will bear the pressure in the future. Now these people should be obedient and shut up. Sure enough, we should have thought of it from the beginning. If we found Luo Ning, we would definitely be in bad luck. We naively thought that we would marry each other. This kind of thing was impossible from the very beginning. Bu Lin shook his head. In fact, everyone is deceiving themselves and others. People here already know who Luo Ning is. It is impossible to marry their Big Mom pirates, and when they came to the world with Katakuri, it was already very weird. But many brothers and sisters don't think about it. It's not that they couldn't think of it, but that they subconsciously avoided the worst option, which is the same even for Bulin. Then what about in the future? What about those of us who survived? The Big Mom pirate group is destroyed, and those of us will lose our backing, even if there is Katakuri's big brother. But it is impossible for us to continue to hold on to this territory. Ask for flowers. Bruno asked again. This problem has been solved by Katakuri Big Brother. After the disappearance of the Big Mom pirates, the Universal Congress will truly establish a country. At that time, Katakuri Big Brother will become the first king. Similarly, we can get the approval of Impel down. But remember, from now on, don't do anything related to piracy. After Bu Lei finished speaking, he began to use his ability to observe the outside world, while others looked at each other in blank dismay. Some of them thought it was good. After all, this was the best ending. But those who are really kind and caring about family affection sigh a little. After all, if there is no accident, those brothers and sisters will be sent to Impel down in the end, so their life will be difficult. Of course, it's useless to say anything now. The outside world, at this moment Luo Ning has already made a move. The terrifying Reiatsu spread to the entire island. At this moment, the entire Cake Island collapsed, except for a few extremely powerful people. In the entire Big Mom pirate group, there are only a few people who are awake, that is, 4 generals, a few stronger guys and aunts. As for the others, they are all transported, without exception. Terrifying power. Katakuri's heart was shocked. He is also a person with Conqueror's Haki, but he can calm down that this is not Conqueror's. This power is more than a star and a half stronger than Conqueror's Haki. What's going on? The shock just now. Who launched Conqueror's Haki? Is it Mother? Smoothie, who was still awake, and a few others looked confused now. Although they were not directly stunned, the coercion was too terrifying, it was exaggerated to the extreme. Look around at the people lying on the ground. Could it be that guy named Luo Ning? Only he can do such a thing. Cracker's face was a little cloudy and uncertain. My mother's Haki and the others have experienced it. Although they are strong, they are not so exaggerated. As for Katakuri, they are not as good as Big Mom, so it is even worse. The only possibility is that Luo Ning has grown up. Chapter 122 The Fusion of Soul Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription Close Black Lens Bracket. Who unleashed Conqueror's Haki on my land? Just as the brothers and sisters who were still awake were discussing, a terrifying roar suddenly erupted from the palace. No, it's Mom. Hearing this roar, several sober people were taken aback. Facing their own mother, they could say that they had shadows in their hearts. After all, they were all born by others. Mom rushed out. Soon a few people saw the aunt stepping on Thundercloud Zeus, holding a bicorn hat on her head, and the hat was like a knife. Big Mom is now rushing towards the place where this coercion erupted. She doesn't know who is doing things in her territory, and she doesn't care how strong the coercion is. Now she wants the other party to pay the price. Mom has passed by. I should be looking for that guy. Let's, 667, quickly catch up. By the way, Smoothie, you go to Bu Lei. Wake up Bu Lei first. If you can't beat him, Bree is our only escape card. After everyone discussed, except for Smoothie, everyone else ran away with the ant. As for Smoothie, he was looking for the last escape card. Of course, this is useless. Now Bu Lei is hiding in the mirror space and looking at everything outside, and naturally saw that these brothers and sisters are planning to find her, but she dare not go out. Now she can only focus on the result of this battle. No longer caring about these people, Bree turned his attention to the port, and now the port is full of people. Mom is here. Katakuri was very knowledgeable, and soon saw the arrival of Big Mom. Katakuri's observation Haki can briefly predict the future in a few seconds, which is also a very good ability. It's just that it's still useless in front of Luo Ning. If Katakuri's strength exceeds the 4 Emperor's level, then the future of 3 seconds can still rely on fighting Luo Ning for him. Of course, it's limited to a fight, and now Luo Ning's strength has already exceeded this category by a lot. Katakuri, have you ever thought that you can beat your mother with your own strength? Luo Ning suddenly asked a question, which made Katakuri stunned for a while. It's impossible. My strength is far behind my mother. I know very well, even if it's my mother's strange cry, I can't stand it. Katakuri didn't lie. Big Mom's strange cry was mixed with Conqueror's Haki, so when Big Mom was roaring, Katakuri could only cover his ears, which was very painful. With such a gap in strength, Katakuri is no match for Yinma at all. No, actually you think too much of her. Actually, there are many ways to kill her. I won't say much about the methods of poisoning, using seawater, and sea stone. Now I will tell you a useful one. You just need to talk about the nun in front of the ant. The nun is the most important person in the ant. You know this, but do you know where the nun went? Luo Ning asked with a smile. Advertisement. Nun. I don't know. My mother has been using her contacts to find the nun's traces all these years, and she hasn't stopped from the beginning to the end. But judging by the age of the nun, she should have died of old age. Katakuri doesn't think the nun is still alive, but the ant is still looking for it. It can be said that the ant really values the nun. Actually, the nuns are always by your side. I can feel that the two souls are interfering with each other. Although Luo Ning is not a Shinigami, strictly speaking, he is not a Quincy master, he just got the holy text, but he also has Reiatsu, and he can sense the conflicting feeling in Big Mom's body. There are two souls in Dama's body, and these two souls are constantly entangled, and have even begun to fuse, but they haven't completely merged. The nun was not a kind person back then. On the contrary, the nun was a human trafficker. She saw Charlotte Linlin's potential, so she followed her all the time. It's just that she underestimated Charlotte Linlin's craving disorder so much that at the end, she was directly eaten by the ant. She also used her tricks. You must know that the ability of the soul fruit is not the ability of the ant herself, but the nun's. The ant ate the nun, causing this power to directly become the power of the ant. Quote. In just a few words, the ant has come to the coast. At that time, even if the nun's soul remained, she no longer had the fruit ability, and the fruit ability could only be possessed by one person. This was a conclusion. This statement made Katakuri really stunned. At first he thought it was unbelievable, but when he thought about the usual operations of ant, he suddenly felt that it seemed not too difficult to accept. This was created after Big Mom got the ability. Luo Ning said this, but Kotaku 4.3 Lee still shook his head. In fact, there is another saying that the bicorn hat on the ant's head is a nun, but in fact this kind of saying is very nonsense. So it is impossible for a nun to be a bicorn hat, but the bicorn hat is created using the soul of the ant, so it can be regarded as a part of the nun's soul. Katakuri shook his head. When the ant came and saw Luo Ning, she was stunned for a moment, and she didn't understand the purpose of Luo Ning's release of coercion. Because the nun is fused with her soul, she is very sensitive to the nun's affairs, so as long as you target this point, you can make her lose her mind for a short time and be in a state where she has completely lost the power to resist. Indeed, it is very difficult to defeat, but it can be killed, right? The human body has many vital points. Of course, she is your mother after all, so you can't make such a deadly move, but you can kill her for sure. Quote. It's not possible. My mother is much stronger than me, and her defense is terrible. Even with Haki, I can break through the defense of a defenseless mother, but it is difficult to defeat my mother. The nun at that time also separated her soul from her body, because she had no body, so she could only snatch a body from Charlotte Linlin, which made Charlotte Linlin's. Luo Ning said, this was just a comparison with your guess before, but now, after sensing the soul breath in the other party's body that is completely different from others, Luo Ning is almost sure. You mean to say that, Mom ate people back then? The ant went crazy and made no distinction between the enemy, and killed her own son, so it seems that it is not completely incomprehensible that she can't control cannibalism. Katakuri, and you, Luo Ning, you released that coercion just now. What are you going to do? Chapter 123-25 Zeus open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. Didn't you invite me here? But I don't want to be your son-in-law, but if I don't want to be your son-in-law, the rules of invitation letters for tea parties like yours are very troublesome. As for me, I think it's too cumbersome to solve the trouble, so I'll just solve you, the troublemaker, it's as simple as that. Luo Ning said very calmly. Others would probably be scared out of their wits when they saw the ant, but he wouldn't. Nami, take care, don't eat too much sweets in the future. This guy was a big beauty when he was young, look at what he looks like now. Luo Ning used the ant to warn Nami and the others by the way. Seeing the fat and ugly appearance of the ant, Nami and the others shook their heads directly. They didn't want to become such a ghost in the future. The current ant is in her 60s, so she will not be able to become like this. If she pays attention to maintenance, although I dare not say that she is still beautiful, but she can still see her well, and she will not become an old witch. One Piece world is a famous world of pig-killing knives. As the so-called time is to kill pigs with 21 knives, there are such rules in any world, but only pirate world, everyone is extremely beautiful when they are young. It was shockingly ugly afterward. Little devil, you are courting death. My aunt's eyes were burning when she heard such words. Anyway, she was young. The ant was indeed very beautiful back then, but now she has such a ghostly appearance. At this moment, the ant directly grabbed the little son Prometheus with one hand, and then slammed towards Luo Ning fiercely. This is not the place for you to run wild. Luo Ning completely ignored the flames and kicked Anti directly. Anti's body was like a missile, and flew out, hitting the forest in Cake Island's no man's land. Mother. The bicorn hat on his head flew with Big Mom, and Prometheus was pinched in his hand. Only Lei and Zeus was still in a daze. By the time he realized it, Big Mom had disappeared. This guy doesn't look very smart. Nami looked at the cloud and directly released some lightning, which quickly sank into Zeus' body. Delicious, delicious, is there any more? After tasting the delicious thunderbolt, Zeus forgot about Big Mom and came directly to Nami. Seeing this scene, a group of people were a little stunned. Among them, Katakuri was the most confused. Now he is completely confused. This is the powerful thundercloud Zeus created by the ant with her own soul. It is also the most important mobility of Big Mom. Usually, Big Mom uses thundercloud Zeus for air battles. But this Zeus seems to have inherited the gluttonous character of the ant, so now he comes directly to find Nami. As expected of the 25-boy Zeus, Luo Ning was not very surprised to see this scene. You must know that in the original book, Nami used the weather stick to attract Zeus, and Zeus is a foodie. Now that Nami is a thunder fruit capable user, it is easier to use thunder and lightning, so that thundercloud Zeus is attracted again. But once Big Mom dies, then Zeus will naturally disappear directly. Of course, this is not a big problem. The big deal is to get out the soul fruit, find someone to eat it, and then give Nami a new thundercloud Zeus. As for the soul to be used, it is not a problem. You must know that Luo Ning is playing Reiatsu, which has something to do with the soul. Is this guy just ignoring his master? Robin looked at Zeus, who was eating happily, speechlessly, which was simply outrageous to the extreme. Advertisement. Yes, I still want to find my mother. Zeus suddenly remembered his aunt. He ate too much and forgot. If you go, you won't be able to eat these delicious things in the future. Nami looked at Zeus, who was not very smart, and made such a declaration directly, which made Zeus's body freeze when he was about to leave. At this moment, he was thinking about whether he should leave or not. Listen well, after eating my things you will be mine. If you want to run away, you will die. At this time, Nami suddenly changed his face, which directly shocked Zeus, causing Zeus to rebel directly. As expected of the highest combat power of the Straw Hat Pirates, it's awesome. Looking at Nami's series of operations, Luo Ning has nothing to say. Nami's claim that the Straw Hat Pirates have the highest combat power is not bragging, and the ability to change faces is really awesome. Now Zeus didn't dare to run at all. Okay, you can figure it out for yourself, I'll go first. After Luo Ning finished speaking, he left a clone and left. Although Katakuri was there were still several people who hadn't passed out and were on their way. Katakuri's strength is good, but in a one-to-many situation, it is estimated that it will be difficult to bear. As for Nami and Robin, although their strength has risen a bit during this period, to be honest, they can't compare with these people. So he left a clone is enough to easily destroy these guys. On the other side, the ant was kicked directly into the forest by Luo Ning, making a huge hole in the ground, and even the ant who hit it was a little dizzy. At this time, Smoothie, who was looking for Bree in the forest, also saw Big Mom. Mom, is this already a war with Luo Ning? Not 530, we must find Bu Lei as soon as possible. Smoothie is very clear that Big Mom is definitely not Luo Ning's opponent, but it is not easy to find someone now. After all, the forest is huge. After Bree was abandoned by her aunt, she was responsible for guarding the forest. There were a lot of homies in this forest, so she couldn't find Bree accurately with her knowledge, so she could only search continuously. Now these homies are also in a coma, which makes it even more difficult for Smoothie to find them. But Smoothie didn't know that no matter how hard he searched, it would be nothing in the end. She now thought that Bree was also affected and passed out. The bones of the body are quite hard, but the brain is not very easy to use. Looking at the ant who was still a little confused, Luo Ning was a little speechless. In the original book, it was a bit strange that the ant was knocked out by Quinn with a head hammer. Although the ant was out of shape at the time, if Quinn wanted to kill her, wouldn't she be finished? It's also thanks to the fact that Big Mom was kind to Kaido at the beginning, so Kaido wouldn't kill Big Mom directly. Otherwise, if it was a different one, Kaido would probably kill the other party directly. You know, Kaido's fruit was given to him by his aunt, and he was able to become the current dragon in the end because of his aunt. So Kaido owes Big Mom a favor. Chapter 124 Iron Balloon. No, it's fragile paper open black lens bracket subscribe close black lens bracket. Hey, wake up. Seeing that the ant was a little dizzy, Luo Ning was speechless, and it was so fragile with one kick. Of course, this is also because his call is too powerful, kicking the ant like this with one kick. It can only be said that after having cheats, his strength has improved too fast. Playing a 4 emperors is now as easy as abuse. Emperor Sword. Broken Blade. After the ant woke up, the first thing she did was to take off the hat and turn it into a big knife, and then cut it off with the flame wrapped around Prometheus. This can be regarded as a powerful move among the ant's moves, but to be honest, that's it. The knife came down and was directly caught by Luo Ning's palm. Look, you can't break my defense even if you practice it. I've always heard that you have the body of a steel balloon and are very talented. So what would happen if you didn't have such a body? Luo Ning's hand touched Big Mom, and the power of fantasy was injected quickly. Besides the name of hardness, Big Mom's body can resist the blows of various weapons even if she doesn't use armament hockey, bullets and the like are useless at all. But now, the power of fantasy has directly transformed Big Mom's body, and Big Mom's body has undergone rapid changes, and what was once called an incomparably terrifying defense has now become a paper schedule. The steel balloon-like defense instantly turned into extremely fragile skin, even weaker than normal human skin. But because she was not injured yet, the ant didn't feel the change at all. She tried hard to pull out the knife she was caught in, but Luo Ning's hand was not so easy to break free. Crack. In the end, as soon as Luo Ning exerted force, the knife that the bicorn had turned into broke in two. The ant's hand also cracked directly due to excessive force, and the blood began to flow. You know, her skin is extremely fragile now, and she will directly break the skin if she does anything casually, and she is said to have snatched the bicorn hat with such great strength. Bleeding. How is this possible? The ant herself was a little confused, she couldn't understand why her body was bleeding suddenly. At this time, Luo Ning's fantasy power exploded again, and Big Mom's body changed rapidly. This time, Luo Ning simply changed Big Mom's muscles. Once the muscles change, we must know that people in this world rely on the body, and the muscles have changed, which means that the other party has no resistance at all. People in pirate world rely on this terrifying muscle explosive power. Once this is changed, their strength will disappear. This is the case with the ant, her muscles become comparable to ordinary people, and she has no strength. The huge body has caused him a huge burden now, but it will not become directly paralyzed like the ghost spider. The one who has been hiding and watching over there can come out, such a big body is not suitable for lurking at all. Advertisement. After the ant got a free point, Luo Ning said to the woods behind him, he sensed someone coming here just now, and the other person was too big, I can't hide at all. You found me in the first place. The person who came out was Smoothie, but her question made the corners of Luo Ning's mouth twitch. You are 4.6 meters tall, do you think it is suitable for lurking? If I can't find it, I won't be blind. Luo Ning really has nothing to say, and this product is not far away, as long as anyone who has knowledge of Super Micro can probably spot her existence, she is too big. Moreover, Smoothie's size can continue to grow. She has the ability to squeeze fruit, and she is also similar to a sponge, which can absorb a large amount of water and expand without weakening the speed. As one of the 4 generals, Smoothie's fighting power is still very good. Although he looks good, it is a pity that Luo Ning said before that he doesn't like everyone he sees, otherwise Luo Ning like Princess Vivi, let's do it. Are you planning to wipe out our Charlotte family? Luo Ning glanced at the angry but helpless ant beside her. I know, I'm not your opponent, why bother to make fun of myself? Almost. After all, you Charlottes are not very good, but I have reached an agreement with Katakuri, and I will spare some of you who have not committed too many serious crimes. Smoothie shook her head, she was also shocked to know her ending, and left here directly at this moment, since Katakuri has made a decision, she must not be able to find Bree. Really, it looks like the future is really dark. Now she also knows what will happen to her in the future, but she has no choice. After all, she has done so many things, and she has to pay the price. Smoothie will definitely be thrown to the 6th floor. Her bounty and strength are here. At most, Luo Ning will not let the jailer beast bother her. Wait to die. Luo Ning didn't hide it either. When he said this, Smoothie was taken aback. Smoothie threw away his weapon to show that he surrendered. No matter what, he could not defeat the opponent, the situation could not be changed. In this case, it is better to reserve a little strength to see the future development. Good awareness and decisiveness. Now go directly to the boat. Your brothers and sisters, Li Haojiao, are already waiting for you there. Compared with other sects, your behavior can give you a little preferential treatment, at least it's better in Impel down. So what are you going to do now? Get caught or resist? You know, you have no chance of winning if you fight with me. Smoothie also came to a sudden. No wonder, Katakuri attaches great importance to family affection in her cognition, choosing between extinction and leaving some people behind. In fact, she would choose the latter herself. Can't find Bu Bui. Smoothie can only draw his own weapon. Now his mother has been defeated. It is even more impossible to defeat Luo Ning. She also has a very ugly face. Luo Ning does not have any good intentions. Damn Katakuri, how dare you betray us? I see. No wonder Katakuri Big Brother will bring you here directly, but this is a fairly good way. At least some of us can survive. Katakuri Big Brother will indeed make such a choice. Katakuri can't be blamed for this. On the contrary, he should be grateful. At least Katakuri has retained some people. Big Mom's consciousness is not as high as Smoothie, and she is still cursing Katakuri at the moment. And help them truly build a country, and give them enough protection. As a price, he will help me stabilize the order in Big Mom's territory. Chapter 125 3 Eyes Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription Close Black Lens Bracket. Katakuri is much smarter than you, in my opinion, although you are the strongest in Wonguo, but in terms of awareness and emphasis on family affection, you are not as good as Katakuri at all. You treat your children as tools. Since they are tools, you should be very clear about the consequences of being in the hands of others. Katakuri has a sense of family affection, and he knows what he should do. But it seems that it's useless to talk to you so much, your fruit ability belongs to me now. After speaking, Luo Ning didn't care what the ant's reaction was, and started to create a lot of fruits with the power of fantasy. At the same time, on the other side of the boat, Luo Ning's avatar also directly killed the 2nd and 5th boy Zeus. Although Nami was a little reluctant, he had to do so. Otherwise, once Big Mom dies, the ability will disappear. Zeus is formed by the condensation of a large thundercloud, so once Zeus dies, the thundercloud will explode. Although it does no harm to Nami, Shirahoshi can't hold it. So Zeus was killed in advance and turned into a large thundercloud, which was again scattered by Luo Ning's clone. After Zeus disappeared, Luo Ning directly killed the angry and confused ant. The ant didn't understand why Luo Ning got so many fruits until she died. Beheading the Big Mother also killed the soul of the nun, and this nun is also an unforgivable piece of garbage. The ant and nun 640 are both dead, and the soul fruit has also begun to transfer. So far, Luo Ning has not failed to obtain fruit in this way. There are too many fruits and too many types. Luo Ning got the soul fruit, but no one around him can eat it now. It is a very good ability, but the people around him are all capable people now, so they can only put it aside for the time being and see if they can eat it in the future. Meet the right people to eat grass. After eliminating the excess fruit, Luo Ning returned to the boat. He came back, but Smoothie hadn't arrived yet. After waiting for a while, Smoothie arrived. As for Cracker and others, they have been severely injured and imprisoned woke up. After that, Smoothie was naturally imprisoned. However, there are too many people on Wonguo's side. Except for the important ones who were detained in the cabin prison, the others were driven to Wonguo's prison. At this time, Bu Lei came out with the people who had been sent into the mirror space. Is it over? Looking at the empty hall, as well as Luo Ning and Katakuri, everyone's expressions were a little unhappy, but also a little happy. Let me see. Well, all CBCB are okay, not the heinous ones. This group of people can be let go, they can be regarded as your helpers. After taking a look, Luo Ning said, Katakuri breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, Luo Ning read a few guys with vicious hearts, but to put it bluntly, viciousness is vicious, but it is also a problem in the heart. The other party did not commit any unforgivable things, so Luo Ning let them go. These people have no hatred for him at all, and some only have endless fear. After all nations were overthrown by Luo Ning. They only have fear of Big Mom, and it is naturally the same for the existence that can kill Big Mom. You stay, Bulin, the others leave. After Katakuri finished speaking, Buri was also taken aback for a moment, and looked at Katakuri with some doubts. Your fruit power. Advertisement. Katakuri said very bluntly, which made Borin realize that, in fact, Borin is also very uncomfortable now. After all, he finally became a popular person around the ant, and no one else dared to bully him. As a result, this backer was gone. Although Katakuri would definitely not let others bully her, Katakuri couldn't keep staring at herself, and she didn't have much combat power, only the auxiliary memory fruit ability. Is this the three-eyed family? But there are only two eyes. Looking at Bulin, Nami spoke. I heard about the ability to remember fruits before. These special fruit abilities are really amazing, and Bulin is also a three-eyed tribe. For Nami, the three-eyed tribe is too rare. On the sea, the three-eyed tribe is very rare everywhere. It is said that once awakened, the three-eyed tribe will have the ability to hear the voice of all things. But Luo Ning doesn't know exactly how. The three-eyed tribe is really a bit mysterious in the world of pirates. After hearing Nami's words, Bulin simply lifted his hair, revealing the third eye on his forehead. Bulin's third eye is not like the vertical pupil, but looks a little cute like other eyes. And Bulin still has a baby face, so it doesn't look very scary. The most important thing is because of the problem of world view. To be honest, if Luo Ning saw someone next to him with three eyes, and they were still the same, before the time travel, he would probably think it was a ghost. But in the world of pirates, many things are acceptable, and the same is true for the three eyes, and it is different if you take precautions in advance. Beautiful eyes. Nami looked at Bulin's third eye and gave out such admiration, and then made Bulin's face change, from a little humble before to dazed. Don't you hate this eye? Don't you think this eye is a little disgusting? Bulin was used to being told that her third eye was disgusting since she was a child, especially even if she became a celebrity around her aunt would think her third eye was disgusting, and she had already given up. I didn't expect that someone would say that my eyes are disgusting now. Nami is not wrong. This eye is indeed good. Why do you think Charlotte Linlin said your eyes are disgusting? To put it bluntly, it is because your three-eyed talent has not been awakened. Charlotte Linlin regards all her children as her own tools, and so does your third eye, but without the awakening talent, it means that the tools cannot be used, so she will say disgusting. Actually, this eye looks pretty good with your baby face, and you don't have to worry about people looking down on you. After all, your big brother's face is not so good either. After Luo Ning finished speaking, Katakuri also showed a helpless face, and then pulled away the cover covering his mouth. How is it possible? Katakuri big brother's mouth is like this. Bulin was stunned, not to mention her, even Nami and others were stunned. What is Katakuri's monster-like mouth? This perfectly explains what it means for a mouth to destroy a face. Katakuri, who was originally a domineering president of Gaolang Shuai, turned into a funny style in a second, which is really unacceptable. Chapter 126 The Founding of All Nations Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription 1/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. Laugh if you want, I have been laughed at because of this before. Katakuri shook his head. His mouth was torn because he liked eating donuts too much. Although it had been stitched up, there were still traces of stitching. And the most important thing about his mouth is not the suture problem, but his own teeth are also very weird, the kind of sharp teeth that can't be covered even when the mouth is closed, which leads to the original majestic appearance being directly ruined by the mouth. Even without the traces of sutures, these teeth are still very interesting. I can help you remove the suture marks, but I can't help you with your teeth. Luo Ning said, and when Katakuri heard it, his eyes lit up instantly, and he didn't care about his teeth, but it is undoubtedly the best to be able to remove those stitches on the mouth. Seeing Katakuri like this, Luo Ning simply injected some fantasy power into his body and healed his mouth. But even so, Katakuri's mouth is still a bit of a show. As for whether he will break his mouth because of eating donuts in the future, this does not need to be considered too much. After all, this guy is also a fruit-capable person. As for Bulin, it has completely changed now. The setting of Bulin is not an evil person in itself, just like Katakuri. Although Katakuri is a pirate, what he really cares about is only his family. He doesn't need to kill, but he will not be willing to kill. Compared with those lunatics and murderers, he is much more normal. The reason why Bulin turned vicious is actually a layer of protection. Under the hands of the ant, kind people can't bear to walk around. In order to protect himself, Bulin hides his true character. To put it bluntly, it's all the mother's fault. If it wasn't because this guy doesn't care about the children, would he be bullied like this when he was young? This is not only aimed at Brin, even Katakuri was often ridiculed and bullied when he was young, and it is drunk to think about it. In the original book, Bulin fell in love with Sanji in the end, but because of his own identity, he couldn't make it too difficult for Sanji, so he simply cut Sanji's memory about her. It is indeed cruel to delete the memory of the first person I met who didn't hate me, but there is nothing I can do. In fact, Bulin thought too much at that time. She could run with Sanji and others, she was only worried about running away with Sanji, and his hatred is locked in the mountain. But at that time Luffy and the others made so many things, to be honest, one more of her is not much, and one less of her is quite a lot. She followed Sanji, which has no effect on the overall situation. To put it bluntly, the ant will still stare at Luffy and others. After all, Luffy was already messing with Big Mom back in the Fishman Island. It's just that Bulin cut off the memory of Sanji because he was too worried about Sanji's safety. For Bulin, Luo Ning's overall perception is good. After uncovering the disguise, Lin is no longer that vicious woman. When I first saw Bulin acting, to be honest, Luo Ning wanted to kill Bulin a little bit, and then he changed his mind. Katakuri, let's prepare a little bit for the establishment of the country in the future. Although you have always been known as the world, but to put it bluntly, you have not really established your own country. Advertisement. Luo Ning looked at Katakuri, and Katakuri nodded at this, and deal with the island first, it doesn't take long, after all, only Cake Island is affected. There are not many homies on other islands, all he needs to do is make a phone call to stabilize the situation. Anyway, he is also the second in command, and no one would dare to confront the king with him. It's just that Luo Ning is needed for external deterrence now. Luo Ning's name is very big. If Wang Guo wants to keep his own territory, he can only rely on Luo Ning's name, otherwise he will be swallowed up by other four emperors. Shanks doesn't have a lot of money, and he doesn't have many people, so he won't have much interest, but Kaido and Whitebeard are different. Whitebeard cares about his family and doesn't care about the territory, but his captains will not let this opportunity to expand the territory go, especially Kaido, he will definitely do it if he has the opportunity, without even thinking about it. Nami, as the first person to praise Bulin's beautiful eyes, naturally got most of Bulin's favor. Luo Ning is not as good as Nami in this regard, and now Nami has an extra tail. Becoming a member country means that the nations will be blessed by Impel down, and Luo Ning doesn't want anything from him, he just needs him to stabilize the order. In fact, many people have been speculating that who among the four emperors fell first must be the red-haired Shanks. After all, someone lost an arm somewhere. After that, Shanks was targeted by many pirates. They won't be as surprised by one more as they are now, mainly because there is one less. Katakuri quickly went to deal with his own affairs. As for Buri, he became Nami's little fangirl. Speaking of which, Bulin is also a little girl now, about the same age as Shirahoshi. 0. In this regard, Luo Ning does not care about it, let time solve all this. Although Robin has already regarded them as companions, it is not so simple to go further. Becoming a franchise country, this caused many people who were staring at the show to lose interest, because they had no way to attack Wang Guo. It's just that Bulin was too precocious because of being bullied when she was a child, so she was able to quickly become a celebrity around the ant. And it continued until the later stage of the plot started, which is quite powerful when you think about it. After all, how old is Bulin to be able to do such a thing? But what makes Luo Ning a little speechless is that because of the timeline, he is really helpless. Many girls in the original storyline are now Lolitas. Afterwards, the news from Cake Island quickly spread to Morgans, and Morgans also passed on the news that Wangguo Jangguo was a member country of Impel Down. Shirahoshi also has a little playmate, and he will take away Blin later, so it can be regarded as a companion for Shirahoshi. Although strictly speaking, IWC is not the first country to be blessed by Impel Down, but there are only 3 countries blessed by Impel Down, one is the Fishman Island, one is de Rosa, and one is IWC. But what they really care about is the fall of the 4 emperors. You must know that the 4 emperors represent the highest power of the pirates at this stage. In this case, the fall of one of the 4 emperors is a very huge thing. Asking for flowers. Under such circumstances, no one would dare to target Wangguo. Chapter 127 Meet Ace again open black lens bracket subscription 2/10 close black lens bracket. After the founding of Wangguo, many forces were very surprised, and they never expected such an ending in the end. Before, they all thought that Luo Ning would either become the son-in-law of the ant, or directly overthrow the entire Big Mom pirate group, but they did not expect that Katakuri would be left behind to establish the world. Moreover, it also gave blessings, and Katakuri and others withdrew from the ranks of pirates. From then on, Wangguo will become a real country. Luo Ning is equivalent to directly killing a 4 emperors pirate group, but it did not break too much. The new world situation. The most important thing is that the ordinary people protected by the ant have not been affected by this incident. Should it be said that it is Mr. Luo Ning. To actually stabilize the situation while eradicating a 4 emperors force, this kind of ending is undoubtedly the best ending. On the side of the 887 Revolutionary Army, long looking at the reports in the newspapers, I am very impressed. Their revolutionary army has been committed to the revolution, overthrowing the rule of the nobles and liberating the local people. Civil. But to be honest, it is very difficult to manage. Their revolutionary army is more about fighting. Although some countries have been liberated, the situation has also been broken. Although everything is moving in a good direction, it will take some time to recover. To put it bluntly, it means nothing can be broken and nothing can be built. If you want to recreate it, you need to destroy everything in the past first, but it will take some time to restore everything in the past to its original level. Luo Ning's operation is to eliminate everything in the past, and it does not affect those things, and has been stabilizing the situation. This is not a simple country, it is a power of 4 emperors. You know, there are many kings in this world, but many kings are like de Rosa, just such a small island, to put it bluntly, is a city. The scale of de Res Rosa is completely different from that of Alabasta, and the two are not a concept at all. So the territory of many kings is not as good as that of the four emperors. The four emperors are still the pirate emperor. Although they are pirates, the title of emperor is not for nothing. It's really powerful, the entire territory of the four emperors, but our side is not too bad. After all, our coverage area is much larger than his. Bello Betty said with a smile, as a person with the ability to inspire fruit, her ability is the key to the revolution. To put it bluntly, it is a group buff. Although she also admires Luo Ning's operations, it is not the time for them to feel this. Because of Luo Ning's series of operations, the progress of the revolutionary army has been much faster. The faster accuracy will naturally affect the original plan, so there are some shortages in terms of staffing. To put it bluntly, it is because the revolutionary army is too weak, and there are also some problems in terms of economic income. They are not Luo Ning, they can unscrupulously create all kinds of rare treasures to exchange for money. Luo Ning has never created Bailey directly. All he created are valuable treasures. These things are enough for Impel Down to consume, and an Impel Down will not consume much. This is much better than that guy Tezzolo. Tezzolo used his ability to gradually develop to the current scale. In fact, there was a large-scale outflow of gold from his hands, but fortunately Tezzolo developed a way to make a fortune in the end. Otherwise, it is estimated that the gold in the sea will not be worth much now. In fact, what is truly rich is this sea. Over the years, countless wealth has been sunk in this sea, but it is a pity that no one can fish them all out. Advertisement. Because the revolutionary army can only hide in the dark, it doesn't have much income on the surface. This has always been a flaw of the revolutionary army. Now it has this opportunity to expand, but it has been unable to do so. Now the revolutionary army is also very busy. Okay, don't talk about this, it's time to go, we have a lot of things to do. After Long finished speaking, Bello and Betty also nodded, and then they set off again. Luo Ning's next target is Whitebeard, although it is not possible to capture Whitebeard or kill Whitebeard, but this wave of experience must be harvested. But it ended before it even started. No wonder he wasn't depressed. As for the others, they were all watching a play. As for Sengoku, after retiring, he was even worse than Garp. After all, he didn't have any burdens on him, and now he finally experienced the fun of Garp 4.4. Ace has already entered the new world, which is not a very surprising thing. After all, Ace is a Mara fruit-capable person, and there are not many pirates on the Grand Line who are his opponents. So much so that Marine returned without success this time, which made Akainu a little depressed. He died before he could leave the army. This time, he mobilized so much power and planned to do a big job. Big things. There was no chance at all, only turmoil was their opportunity, but after Luo Ning intervened, there was no turbulence at all, and it was surprising that the ant died, and no one else moved. But now Luo Ning has also met an old acquaintance, a person he met when he was in East Blue. This person is naturally Fire Fist Ace. Crane also has nothing to say about this, and has persuaded Akainu not to act recklessly, but Akainu's impulsive character is not something she can stop, and the result is like this. Regarding this, Sabo on the side also shook his head. Beidou Island has always needed at least one person who can sit in the town, and now this person is him. As for Luo Ning, he didn't care so much. After the situation in Wangguo stabilized and they played on some islands in Wangguo for a while, they left again. Instead of taking advantage, he lost face, and Akainu was scolded by 5 elders, which made him even more depressed. After all, I came here this time to earn experience. Garp and Sengoku laughed happily after knowing about Akainu's situation. These two old guys don't need to worry about Marine's future now. After all, Katie has been like this since 10 heavy years. Akainu's behavior this time was also exposed by Morgan's, which also made many forces in the CC Marine's jokes. In this regard, he has always been very helpless. These two old guys are really hopeless. Sabo's intelligence is still very good, otherwise he would not be the second in command. On Marine's side, Akainu's face was also extremely ugly. They thought they would get some opportunities to enter New World this time, but after Morgan's newspaper came out, their calculations were directly ruined. It can only be said that these three brothers are not simple things, and each of them has amazing talents. Chapter 128 Expansive Ace Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription 3/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. On the Grand Line side, there are not many people who know hockey, and Ace's own strength is also improving quickly, otherwise, he would not have been invited to join Shichibukai before, and refused. Because Grand Line has no opponents, Ace has become more inflated, so he entered New World, and Ace's idea of entering New World is actually very simple, that is to defeat Whitebeard. After all, Whitebeard is known as the strongest man in the world. Although this title has been completely transferred to Luo Ning's head now, Whitebeard's deterrent power is still there. Ace, it's Impel Down's boat, coming from the direction of Cake Island, it's probably Luo Ning's boat. The people on Ace's side also quickly discovered the existence of Luo Ning. Luo Ning's ship, that's really great, I was going to deal with Whitebeard. Now he is the strongest in the world, so go challenge him, I am the strongest after defeating this guy. Now Ace is crazy because no one can hit him because of the ability of Mara Fruit 21, and now he even plans to deal with Luo Ning. In fact, this is also because Ace missed the live broadcast of the previous battle. At that time, Ace was taking risks, so he didn't know that there was a live broadcast of the war. He knew about it through the newspaper after the war, but because he didn't see the live broadcast, Ace had no concept of the strong. On the contrary, I feel that my elementalization is invincible. This is the case before encountering enemies who can be armed, including Enel, who does not know the existence of Haki. Although he has learned the color of knowledge and merged with Thunder Fruit by mistake, he has no concept of Haki, but his luck is also bad, and he happened to meet Luffy who beat him. Logia Fruit ability users, those who have knowledge are fine, but those who have no knowledge are real dishes, and Ace is like this now. Ace, why don't you just forget about it? The other party's bragging in the newspapers is too powerful, we may not be his opponents. Although I know that Ace is very strong, and has the ability of Mera Fruit that is completely ineffective against physical attacks. But they are also very clear that this ability is not invincible, this ability has some shortcomings, such as fear of seawater and seastone, this is a flaw, these things can still hurt Ace. How could we just leave like this? Our goal is to be the strongest in the world. If we defeat this guy, we will become famous. Ace doesn't care, this is actually exactly the same as his impulsive character in the original book, Ace's biggest problem is impulsiveness. This point Luffy is the same as him, when he gets impulsive, he doesn't think about the consequences at all. Luffy fought celestial dragons in Sabayati Archipelago. To be honest, it wasn't that celestial dragons couldn't fight, but because he was too weak. Once you beat celestial dragons, Marine Admiral will come. If Luffy hadn't met Shang and his uncle Huang, he would have been gone. Neither Kizaru nor Shang had the intention of killing Luffy, but sent him away. If this is replaced by Akainu, then Luffy will be out of control. Including some later plans, Luffy's impulsive personality has not changed, and he will never understand what is the point. This is also the reason why Luffy has a lot of black fans in the later stage, because a careful comparison of most of the hot-blooded comics. Uzumaki Naruto, Kurosaki Ichigo, Naz and others, they were also impulsive at the beginning, but in the end they all grew up and became mature. And Luffy is still the same as in the past, giving people the feeling that they have not grown up at all, and they have never changed. Advertisement. Therefore, the senses in the later stage become much worse than those in the early stage. Ace's impulse can be said to be passed down in one continuous line. When chasing Blackbeard, he was not impulsive. After all, Blackbeard is under Ace, so he, the captain, must be responsible. So it's normal for him to be caught after chasing him. It's not impulsive, but it's different in Summit War. After Ace was rescued, he committed another crime because of Akainu's sarcastic and impulsive character. At that time, Ace was really impulsive. To be honest, Akainu's ugly words really made people extremely angry. But why can't others bear it, but he can't bear it? Could it be that Marco and the others didn't regard Whitebeard as their father? To put it bluntly, it was still impulsive, and they would not die if they ran straight away. As for Akainu attacking Luffy, their ship seems to be coming towards us. This is the pirate group, right? There are still pirates who dare to provoke Impel down. It was also because of this incident that Luo Ning's sense of Ace was slightly reduced. Garp also regards Ace as his relative, but what Ace does is completely opposite to Garp. Taking the risk to help Roger raise the child, although it is a stalking, but Ace is indeed taken over by Garp. Part of these fates are on Ace's back, and he was too impulsive when he stopped. As for Garp blocking Marco, it has been complained that Ace is not Garp's blood relationship, and it will be different if it is Luffy. At this time, Ace blocked a punch. To put it bluntly, as long as he doesn't stop, this series of things will not happen. It's not something unacceptable, after all, this kid is probably going crazy at this stage. This is simply nonsense, one is his own grandson, and the other is taken over, how many people can guarantee that they are not partial at all? Luo Ning glanced at Ace, and planned to educate Ace, and let him quit the ranks of pirates by the way. But Ace's life is no longer his own. How many lives did the entire Whitebeard Pirates take to save him? In fact, Luo Ning has never been able to understand why Ace wanted to become a pirate in the end. After Nami saw this scene, O2O was also a little dazed. The other pirates ran away desperately after seeing them, wishing that the boat would grow 2 legs, but now this one came over on his own initiative. Summit War Luo Ning doesn't think Ace is pitiful, Summit War Luo Ning thinks Garp is pitiful. Knowing what his father Roger did, Ace, who already hated pirates, went on this path in the end. Of course, I don't want to say disgust, but I can only say that the slightly better sense of Ace is basically gone. Garp has never owed Ace anything, but the Ace family owes Garp a lot. If Luo Ning remembers correctly, it seems that it was also because Ace hit the aggressive attack first, and stopped first, and the others had to stop, and then Akainu shifted the target to attack Luffy, who was easier to kill. Chapter 129 Ace. The world can't be so far away. Open black lens bracket please subscribe 4/10 close black lens bracket. Garp has done what he can do, so why should Garp betray Marine for a grandson who is a pirate? Garp has been a Marine all his life, and his heart is basically tied to Marine. If he is asked to choose between death and betrayal, Garp will choose death instead of betrayal. Whether it is Ace or Luffy, they have always been able to avoid such things from happening. After all, what they do is no different from taking risks. They can go directly to taking risks, but they must bear the name of a pirate. This in itself is a disgusting name, it can only be said that some concepts of the pirate world are really distorted. Taking risks as an adventurer, and with Garp in the background, even if you provoke Marine, you can just find Garp and you're done. If you become a pirate and you're finally wanted, how does Garp choose? So Luo Ning felt that the most pitiful person in Summit War was Garp. To be honest, if Akainu really killed Luffy with one fist in the end, it would really explode. It is estimated that Garp will also go crazy, and people like Long. Anyway, Akainu's final ending is to be hammered to death, so don't even think about it. Sure enough, it's you. I'm here to challenge you. If I defeat you, your title of being the strongest in the world will belong to me. Before the boat approached, a flame shot up into the sky, and then landed on the deck of Luo Ning's boat and condensed into Ace. The strongest in the world. If you have the ability, you can take it, but you seem to be unable to bear such a title. Luo Ning looked at Ace with some amu sadness. He has never experienced the beatings of the society. It's like this, just like Luffy, who wants to be the One Piece all the time. Are you scared? Ace's brain circuit was really abnormal, and he actually thought that Luo Ning was scared like this. Afraid? You dare to say anything. So Ace, I will give you a chance, as long as you can walk in front of me now. How about I give you this name? Luo Ning said with a smile. Seeing Luo Ning like this, Nami and others who knew Luo Ning also looked at Ace with some pity. This guy is going to be in bad luck this time. Huh, what are you kidding? What do you mean walking in front of you? Before Ace finished speaking, a mountain-like pressure fell on him. If she hadn't reacted in time, she might have knelt down. Let's start. Remember the conditions, and come to me, otherwise you will be a pirate, and I will arrest you directly. Luo Ning has released a little bit of Reiatsu on Ace's body, really only a little bit, but now that Ace's strength, even a little bit is not what he can bear. At this moment, Ace's complexion became extremely ugly, and all his strength was reaching this force. As for elementalization, he couldn't even enter the elementalization state because of this pressure, and his abilities were not easy to use. What's the matter? A few seconds ago, you seemed to be very arrogant. Is it so difficult for you to walk now? Luo Ning sat on the recliner and asked with a smile. Hearing this, Ace was also a little angry, and tried to move forward, but this step made his body stagger and almost fell directly. The deck under his feet was also strengthened by Luo Ning, otherwise the deck would have been crushed by this guy. After all, Ace is doing his best now, and the effect here is mutual. Just taking a step, at this moment Ace is already sweating profusely, and he's still panting a bit. Luo Ning's Reiatsu actually changes according to Ace's movements. Anyway, Ace can't walk in front of him. Advertisement. At the current stage, Ace seems to be powerful, but like Enel, she has not encountered any existence that restrains them. Once she meets someone, not to mention someone who can hockey, then Ace's advantage is gone, and it is easy to be careless. Defeated. In the end, after spending more than 10 minutes, Ace only took 5 steps forward. At this time, Ace's physical strength is basically gone, and he is relying on willpower to persevere, which is not bad. It seems that you can't come in front of me. What gave you the courage to challenge me? Is it ignorance? Luo Ning looked at Ace and asked. No, impossible, the world, it's impossible to be so far away. Ace was completely confused at this moment, and the whole person fell into a state of extreme self-doubt. Isn't this what Zoro should say? You said it first, but your vision is indeed too small. With your strength, let alone Whitebeard, you are no match for the captain of Whitebeard. As for me, Whitebeard is not my opponent. I have to say that your guts are really fat. Now I declare that your pirate career is over. This is Roger's own son. And Luo Ning doesn't intend to let him do heavy work, so the seastone collar used will not be the weakened version. What to do with this guy after that? Luo Ning looked at Ace, who was already unconscious and dragged away by the jailer, and said. Ace without ability, coupled with the shackles of seastone, can't escape at all. He is not Luffy. Guaranteed that Ace will never escape for the rest of his life. To be honest, Luo Ning plans to use his fantasy ability to transform Impel Down when he goes back, and make Impel Down into a place like a research institute that needs identification. At that time, it will be even more impossible for Ace to escape. Up. Nami and the others were a little surprised. After all, when Shanks and Luo Ning faced each other, Luo Ning mentioned this matter, but he didn't continue to mention it after that. Luo Ning looked at Ace and said, when he returns to Impel Down, put a seastone collar on this kid, and let him work in Impel Down for decades. Let him stay in prison on the ship for a period of time, and then take him to Impel Down for reform. This kid has never done anything like a pirate. He is just an adventurer under the banner of a pirate. I didn't expect to meet it now, and was arrested by Luo Ning. Nami asked curiously, Wang Li's. Seeing Ace like this, Nami and the others shook their heads and said, hell. This guy is completely self-inflicted. Why did he come to provoke us? As soon as Luo Ning beckoned, the others ran to the opposite boat and arrested all the people on the opposite side. Although the strength of the people on the opposite side was not bad, the jailers on the boat in Luzhong were not strong enough. And it was specially trained by Luo Ning. It's a pity that Luo Ning doesn't have so many devil fruits, otherwise the strength of the jailers on this ship would be even more terrifying. Educate well, this guy probably won't want to be a pirate anymore in the future. In this way, Ace and his gang were all arrested. This kid just needs to be dealt with. He is Roger's own son. He is not suitable to be a pirate. Don't even think about being a pirate in the future. Chapter 130 The idea of letting Luffy be a jailer. Open black lens bracket subscription 5/10 close black lens bracket. As long as he can't escape and stay in Impel Down for decades, Ace can't continue to be the pirate, so it seems to be very good to do so. Even because of the appearance of Ace, Luo Ning wondered whether to get Luffy to Impel Down and make him a jailer. The reason why Luffy wants to be a pirate is nothing more than because Shanks has shown the so-called adventurous side of a pirate. As for other aspects, he has nothing at all. In addition, Shanks has bet on one of his arms, which makes Luffy even more determined. I got the idea of being a pirate. But what if Luffy is sent to Impel down? Let him be a jailer. I think both Dragons and Garp will agree very much. Moreover, those prisoners imprisoned in Impel down, those who were wronged and so on, have been released by Luo Ning, and the rest are heinous ones. Let him see the evil side of pirates, and it will probably be dispelled soon. The idea of being a pirate. Of course, the most important thing is to educate this guy about Shanks' strength. At that time, Shanks will deliberately cut off one of his arms to let Luffy know that he was fooled by Shanks. Tisk tisk, that would be fun. But this will have to wait until we go back. Let these two boys stay in Impel down, so as not to cause trouble. As for the protagonist Halo, sorry, it is useless here at 830 Luo Ning. It seems that his pirate career is indeed over, but it's good news. Everyone sympathized with Ace, but whoever said that this guy likes to be a pirate, he also has to pay a price for being a pirate. It's not right to be a good person, but he wants to be like a bunch of animals. Where am I? A day later, Ace woke up from the coma, mainly because Luo Ning's pressure was a bit hard. The consumption of soul and physical strength made Ace unconscious for 10 times. Captain, we have been captured, and we will be sent to Impel down if nothing happens. In short, we are basically finished. The other crew members looked at Ace and said helplessly, they were similar to Ace, they were all Sky Watchers, although they thought it would be risky for Ace to challenge, but they also felt that even if Ace couldn't beat him, they could run away. But now they can't even fight, Ace just gave it for nothing. As for them, they were also beaten to pieces by a group of jailers, which is so sad. Caught, Ace sat up abruptly, and then tried to activate his ability, but at this moment he found that his ability seemed to have disappeared. Damn, sea stone shackles. Not only can't activate the ability, but even the strength has been weakened to the extreme. Now Ace can't exert his physical strength at all, he is a weak horse. Don't waste your efforts, Captain, you have sea stone on your hands, feet, and neck. It's impossible to escape. Seeing that Ace wanted to break free from these restraints, the crew shook their heads helplessly. Unless Ace cut off his hands, feet and head, he would not be able to escape at all, but if he did, then Ace would be finished. Damn it, why am I so far behind the other party? Ace couldn't help but punch the floor of the cell, but unfortunately, apart from gritting his teeth in pain, the floor was not affected in any way. You are too weak, I don't know what you think, a rookie who can't even know hockey dares to provoke Lord Luo Ning. Advertisement. The guards next to him couldn't stand it anymore. Although the other party was a Logia-capable user, Hockey really didn't know how to do it, and he didn't show it. He also talked to the crew members before and learned about Ace's situation. This guy broke into New World entirely by relying on his elemental invincibility, and he has never met an enemy who can hockey. With such luck, the jailer didn't know what to say, it was simply heaven-defying. It can only be said that Ace's progress is too fast. He didn't stay in the Grand Line for long, and he didn't encounter any major incidents. Marine was also busy fighting with Luo Ning, and no one paid him any attention. This made this kid run all the way to New World. DBBF. Ace also chatted with the jailer. There are some things he needs to figure out. The ship is headed for Whitebeard's territory. After sailing for a period of time, the ship came to Whitebeard's territory. His arrival also made the Whitebeard pirates react quickly. After all, Luo Ning did not hide his whereabouts. His goal was also very clear. He was heading for Whitebeard's territory. Newspapers about him were flying around all day long. Whitebeard and the others knew that Luo Ning was coming for him and others. What are you doing? Didn't you listen to Laozi's order? Marco's face changed when he heard this. He is not an idiot, so he can naturally hear why his father issued such an order. If it doesn't work, we will fight with them, let us run away, we can't do it. The captains made their own voices. In fact, to be honest, except for a few guys, most of the Whitebeard pirates are indeed very good, and they value love and righteousness. Whitebeard didn't say much, but emphasized it again. After that, Marco nodded and went to inform everyone. Yes, there is no reason for a son to let his father stand in front of him. Marco's expression also changed when he received the news. You must know that the ant died in the hands of Luo Ning before, so they really can't guarantee what Luo Ning will do now. By the way, Marco, let your brothers disperse to various places in our territory. Dad, I just received the news that that guy has entered our territory, what should we do now? Whitebeard suddenly said that he himself was not afraid, but he was also afraid that his children would be captured and killed by Wrong Ning. That being the case, why not just wait and see what Luo Ning is going to do? Seeing so many people gathered here, Whitebeard asked a little uncomfortable. Whitebeard said that even if he knew that he was no match for Luo Ning, he would not be timid, and Luo Ning was obviously coming for him. Even if he avoided Luo Ning, he would stare at him. Do as I say. But after notifying everyone, no one left, but all gathered on Whitebeard's mobity. This is a scene he doesn't want to look at. No matter what, spreading people out is the best choice. Father, we are a family, there is no reason for a family to be separated like this. Hula lala, don't be afraid, sons, Laozi is Whitebeard. Although this kid is strong, he is not strong enough to scare us. Since he is here, let him come and see me, let me see him. What exactly do you want to do? Chapter 131 Blackbeard who ran ahead of time. Open black lens bracket subscription 6/10 close black lens bracket. What a bunch of stupid sons, Laozi doesn't need you to stand in front of Laozi is Whitebeard. Whitebeard couldn't help laughing. This is why he cherishes his family, because these people cannot give up on him in times of crisis, but Whitebeard's ideas have always been too idealistic. He felt that as long as he was nice to the other party would definitely be nice to him. This kind of thinking is actually not surprising. This is indeed the case for most people, but for a small number of special people, it is different. There are so many people in the entire Whitebeard Pirates, and it is nonsense to say that they are completely united. Of course, Blackbeard's, always a handful. Father, don't drive us away, we are a family. Marco said with a smile. The reaction of these brothers was the same as he thought, and few of them would choose to abandon their father. Got it, a bunch of stupid sons. Whitebeard stopped talking nonsense. Since his sons had already made their decisions, he, as a father, naturally couldn't ignore his sons. In this way, instead of being scattered, the members of the Whitebeard Pirates gathered together. But there are some exceptions, such as Blackbeard Teach. Teach has only one purpose on the Whitebeard ship, to seek protection and find dark fruit at the same time. Teach's body is different from normal people. This is what Marco once said. Maybe this kind of fruit was bound to Teach's family in the past. After all, people with D in their names are not simple things. Teach will do anything for dark fruit, and his goal has been dark fruit from the beginning. He knows that he can bear two fruits, and there must be a precedent before. Not surprisingly, it should be the elders of Teach's family. All in all, Teach joined the Whitebeard Pirates for dark fruit at the beginning. Similarly, he also intends to ensure his own safety in the Whitebeard Pirates. Whitebeard was the strongest existence before. Under the protection of Whitebeard, coupled with his strength, it is basically difficult to die. His idea is very simple. If he has not found the dark fruit, then he will stay in the Whitebeard Pirates all the time, even if it is for retirement. The atmosphere here is not bad. Without dark fruit, although he left a wound on the red-haired face, the question is, when was the wound left? When Impel was down, he couldn't even take down Luffy as soon as possible, and was hammered by Luffy to bleed. Although Teach's strength is good, it is better than Ace. In fact, to put it bluntly, he is the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. He didn't blow it so hard, otherwise he wouldn't have been blasted by others all the time. Without relying on the ability of the fruit, he even cried for his father and mother when he was hammered by the dying Whitebeard. He was here at Whitebeard to protect himself, but the Luo Ning who appeared now is completely different. Even if he had a relationship with Roger Golden Lion and others back then, he didn't run away directly. Because he knew that these people couldn't kill Whitebeard, but what about him? Apart from these top powerhouses, he was not afraid of others. So he didn't leave back then, but it's different now. An existence like Luo Ning is like a mobile naval headquarters, or an enhanced version. Moreover, Charlotte Linlin, one of the four emperors, had already been killed, and Blackbeard couldn't guarantee that he could survive under the opponent's hands. He was trying to save his life in dark fruit, not really intending to die for Whitebeard, so he just ran away. There are others who made the same choice as him. Although the departure of these people made Marco and others extremely angry, Whitebeard did not let them stop the other party. Advertisement. After all, what Whitebeard needs is family members. Although these people have escaped now, why should he force others to wait here with him? You must know that the risk of death is not low if you stay here. So Whitebeard didn't let Marco and others stop the opponent, but chose to let the opponent leave directly. These bastards, especially Teach, usually act like good guys and say they don't have any ambitions. I didn't expect to be so afraid of death. There is no captain in the second squad, and Teach, who has the strongest combat power, should have come here. Teach doesn't show much combat power, but he is enough to be the captain, and Teach is still an old man of the pirates. But I didn't expect that this honest guy would run away at such a critical moment. Asking for flowers. Choosing whether to stay or leave is their own choice, and we cannot interfere with their choice, but from now on, they will no longer be family members. Whitebeard doesn't need kids who can only share in good times but not in bad times. I know Papa, but I'm just a little mad. Marco is still very angry, not only him, but also other captains. Basically every captain has someone to leave, after all, such a big pirate group. An existence like Luo Ning is really terrifying, and he even deals with pirates. Why don't they run away and stay for the new year? According to the time, those guys should be here soon. Whitebeard didn't continue this topic anymore, he was more concerned about where Luo Ning was now. Although he is not afraid of death, he is afraid that Luo Ning will be massacred here. He does not want to see his children die in front of him. It has already been seen by the brothers on the periphery, it is estimated that it will arrive in a while. Marco spoke after asking through the phone bug. It's coming. Whitebeard grabbed the vile needles on his body, and then pulled them directly to remove them all. Whitebeard's current body can be described as riddled with holes, and basically needs infusions every day, but now is not the time for infusions. Daddy. Seeing this scene, everyone else was shocked. Since people have come, is hanging these things to make people feel pity. Whitebeard didn't care. Now was not the time for infusion, and he would still take care of these children, otherwise, if he were alone, he wouldn't be able to infuse here. In this way, soon, the warship with the Impel down flag appeared in everyone's sight, and it was getting closer and closer. Obviously there are a lot of pirate ships parked here, but at this moment, no one has made a sound, and the sea is so quiet that it is even a little weird. No way, why is Luo Ning's name too big? It wouldn't be like this with other four emperors, but now, they really dare not say anything. After all, there is an artificial ship on board that can destroy their Whitebeard pirates. Chapter 132 The Overreacting Whitebeard Pirates Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription 7/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. It's kind of weird, these guys are too quiet, and they are all staring at our ship. Seeing a large number of people on the surrounding pirate ship staring at themselves and others, not speaking, very quiet, the atmosphere is indeed a bit scary. It's normal, don't forget the reputation of our Lord Luo Ning. Robin said a little funny. Luo Ning also rolled his eyes at this, and Robin even started to tease himself. But to be honest, this kind of reaction is not very unexpected. After all, they just came from another Four Emperors site, and that Four Emperors has been killed, and even the computational Big Mom pirate group has become history. In this way, under the watchful eyes of these people, the warship soon came to the Mobity, and Luo Ning also brought a few girls to Whitebeard's ship. This time he did not come to 370, find fault, so it's no problem to bring someone. You even brought a child with you, how much does this look down on our Whitebeard pirates? Jaws's bad temper is getting upset now, it's fine to bring a woman, what's the point of having two children? Aren't Shirahoshi and Bulin just children at the moment? All the captains are here, Whitebeard, is it necessary to put on such a grand welcome ceremony? After scanning around, Luo Ning found that except for Ace who was not in the prison on his ship, the other captains were all present. After all, it's you, a big man, who is welcoming you. It's okay to be less grand, boy, tell me, what do you want to do when you come to me? Whitebeard is not afraid of Luo Ning, even he didn't call him by name, but boy. Regarding this kind of title, Luo Ning didn't say much. Whitebeard has such a character, and he won't change his title just because his strength is not as good as others. Isn't Luo Ning just a kid in front of him? After all, there is too much difference in terms of age and height. It's really not polite at all. My purpose of coming here is very simple, just to fight with your Whitebeard pirates. Luo Ning said his purpose, and his purpose is indeed this, not talking nonsense. Are you really going to do it? Almost at the same time, the captains of the entire Whitebeard pirates either took out their weapons directly, or their bodies changed due to their abilities. For example, Marco, whose body is already burning with blue flames, and Josie, whose body is already covered with diamonds. In the past, Luo Ning always thought that Chaozi was a diamond fruit ability user, but this guy turned out to be a shining fruit ability user, which is outrageous. Although diamonds are indeed shiny, you can't play like that. Whitebeard, the people under you seem to have overreacted. I said, I'm just here to fight, I don't intend to kill people here, and I also have something to ask for your cooperation. It seemed to Luo Ning that those captains didn't care at first glance. The strength of these captains is also strong and weak. For Luo Ning, it's just like this. They are all in one move, so the gap in their strength is in front of Luo Ning. Also not worthy of attention. My sons, your reaction is too much, the guests can't stand it anymore. Whitebeard knew from the very beginning that Luo Ning was not here to make trouble, because if he was looking for trouble, Luo Ning would not drag his family with him. He brought a few girls and 2 children with him. This is not like someone who wants to fight. But daddy, advertisement. Marco wanted to say something else, but after seeing his father's eyes, he put away the flames directly, and the others also put away their weapons and abilities. Tell me in detail, what exactly do you want to do? That crazy woman Linlin died at your hands. Whitebeard asked. You can't blame me for this. As for me, I hate pirates, or people who behave like pirates. Although there are many such people in your place, but for your sake, if you promise not to do it again, I won't make things difficult for them. Luo Ning said that he had done something to Dama and others before, but this would not work in Whitebeard's territory. On Whitebeard's side, the top and bottom are almost of one mind, so it is impossible for Whitebeard to watch Luo Ning take any child away. Luo Ning doesn't intend to kill Whitebeard, he still likes this character. So he stepped back and let Whitebeard restrain his men. I don't have a good impression of pirates, so I will also clean up pirates by the way. You are the same as Wang Guo, becoming the overlord of the stable side, which is actually not much different from what you are doing now. Get out of the ranks of pirates. And by doing this, I can heal your injuries, and I can choose to lend the flag of Impel down to your children after you die. 3.9 inches of course, you can also refuse, but since my cooperation with you if it cannot be carried out, then the condition will not be established, so those of you who have problems, I am the same guy. Whitebeard was already showing signs of anger at this moment. Once you die, you will know how many hungry wolves are staring at your pirate group. So my suggestion to you is to choose Jangwo, and after the founding of the nation, launch the ranks of pirates, including your children and crew, and let them become part of your country. Don't refuse me in a hurry, you should be very clear about your physical condition, your body, you don't have many years to live, if there is a stronger existence to trouble you, the time you can live will be shorter decrease again. But at this moment, a group of captains of the Whitebeard pirates looked very ugly, not only them, but also Whitebeard. Charlotte Pirates, because Charlotte Linlin has done too much evil and is a lunatic, so there is no need to cooperate with her. Threats, no. Do you think it's necessary for me to threaten you? I'm going to kill you Whitebeard. To be honest, it's not a waste of effort. When my aunt died in my hands, she had almost no resistance. Do you think I need to threaten you? But on the other hand, although you Whitebeard are a pirate, your actions are not worthy of a pirate, so my personal suggestion is that you'd better choose Jangwo like Wang Guo. Whitebeard fixed his eyes and asked, boy, are you threatening me? After Luo Ning finished what he wanted to say in one breath, he waited for Whitebeard to respond. No, I'm talking about something that is beneficial to both you and me. Your Whitebeard's purpose is only for your family. This so-called pirate group, in fact, you don't need to bear the name of pirates at all. Are you teaching me how to do things? Luo Ning looked at Whitebeard as if you were thinking too much. Chapter 133 Cure Whitebeard Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription 8/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. When Luo Ning said this, Whitebeard and the others were stunned. Indeed, what Luo Ning said seemed to be not a big problem. Although what Luo Ning said in the end was indeed a bit threatening, but is it necessary for others to threaten himself? It's not that Whitebeard looks down on him, but the reality is here. Whitebeard dares to say that he can fight against one admiral now, but what about two? How about three? Naval Headquarters high-level combat power altogether can't help Luo Ning. Whitebeard is still somewhat self-aware, so there is no need for Luo Ning to threaten him at all. It's just that the facts that Luo Ning said were actually threatening. It seems that you understand that I really didn't mean to threaten you. This is all a deal. You quit the ranks of pirates and choose Jangwo, I can let your people go. Although you rarely do burning, killing and looting yourself, the pirates under your banner are different. However, most of them still follow you. Most of them are attacking the 21 pirates. Even if they are robbing, they hardly hurt people's lives. Otherwise, I won't talk nonsense with you too much now. Luo Ning just read some people's minds. Although the Whitebeard pirates still rob, but they do less killing almost all other pirates. That's barely okay, with Whitebeard taking the lead. At least those scumbags have basically run away, and the ones left now, they value love and righteousness, and they can't be bad anymore. By the way, there is another point. I plan to fight with you. This is also a transaction, and the price of the transaction is to heal your body. Your body has too many hidden injuries, although there are also reasons for the decline in age that leads to the loss of combat power, but more because of injuries. Luo Ning said that although Whitebeard is getting old and his physical strength has declined, his fruit ability development has been continuous, and the development of fruit ability will continue to improve over time. So Golden Lion even though Haki has degenerated, but his ability has not, but has become stronger. But the disadvantages of pure ability are too great, and he can't catch up in other aspects, which makes him miserable in the end. After your injury is healed, depending on your physical condition, you can live for at least 10 or 20 years. Luo Ning said, the bodies of these people are extremely powerful, even if the speed of weakening will be reduced a lot. Some old people, after getting old and weakening their body functions, their immunity weakens, and various diseases come. But Whitebeard's body, as long as the dark wounds are removed, is much healthier than a young man, so he can live for a long time. You can really heal Daddy's body. As long as you heal Daddy's body, we will no longer be pirates. Marco and the others were stunned for a moment, and then spoke quickly. In their eyes, Whitebeard's body will always come first. As for being a pirate or not, it's not a big deal, as long as you stay with your family. You know, for Whitebeard's body, even if they are asked to die, they will probably rush to it. You really counted Laozi to death, are these children of Laozi to death? I agreed to these two deals, and I just want to see how strong you are. But with my current physical condition, it's hard to give full play. Whitebeard is also somewhat motivated to fight, and his sons have expressed their views, isn't it just not being a pirate? He doesn't want to be some kind of pirate king. From the beginning to the end, Whitebeard was a pirate only for his family. Now that his family has him, he has long stopped fighting for the position of pirate king. That thing is worthless to him. Advertisement. Very wise choice, then heal your body first. Luo Ning imagined the healing ability, and then healed Whitebeard's body. The power of fantasy can even create life, let alone Whitebeard's body. But after observing it for a while, Luo Ning was also a little emotional. Your body is like a beehive, it's full of holes. Luo Ning said, it's no wonder that in the original book, Whitebeard seldom takes shots, and often stops after one shot, and finally bursts out that kind of fighting power only after desperately fighting for his life. With a body like this, it would have been a dead body long ago if it were put on someone else's body. It's amazing that Whitebeard can still move freely. Moreover, the Summit War is still a few years later, and Whitebeard's body will become weaker after such a period of time. However, with Luo Ning's treatment, all the dark wounds in Whitebeard's body disappeared, and Whitebeard felt the recovery of his injuries at this moment. These injuries usually make it difficult for him to raise his strength, but now, it seems that there is a layer of shackles missing from his body. At this moment, the captains also looked at this scene in horror. At the same time, Luo Ning also used his own Reiatsu to stun all the crew members of White 250 Beard except for these captains, which can be regarded as a free point. At the same time, Luo Ning's Reiatsu also broke out, protecting Robin and others. Whitebeard, the conquerors, is not something they can resist. This is the kind of scenario that only top conquerors collisions can produce. When you can save it, you have to find excuses to search for free points, so it's better to take this opportunity to knock it down. The current Whitebeard is not weaker than his peak period. The advantage of Whitebeard at the peak period over the current Whitebeard lies in physical strength. Whitebeard stood up directly, holding Kong Yunchi in his hand, the conquerors in his body was released like crazy without money. The collision of two terrifying pressures produced an effect similar to Conqueror's collision, and the clouds in the sky were directly split by this collision. Luo Ning said a little speechlessly, although it is indeed very hockey, but just let it go for a while, how can you keep releasing Conquerors continuously? At the moment of reaching the body, a terrifying Conquerors came out of Whitebeard's body. Of course, that is Whitebeard, and the current Whitebeard seems to have untied countless shackles that bound him. Okay, such a horrible conqueror's collision, the sky is split. Hula lala, recovered, Laozi's body recovered. Boom. Whitebeard, don't let go of your conquerors, hold back a little bit. The Golden Lion has even regressed from hockey, but not from Whitebeard. For Whitebeard, those previous injuries are shackles, which is not comparable to Golden Lion. But the current Whitebeard is also stronger than the Whitebeard at its peak, and that is the degree of fruit development. Chapter 134 Battle Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription 9/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. The development of the fruit ability will not regress, it will only become stronger and stronger. Whitebeard's ability to shatter the sea has undoubtedly developed the fruit to the degree of awakening. Fruit awakening can amplify the fruit's ability in a large range and affect the environment. Whitebeard's shock fruit can even shake a certain area of the sea into small blocks, which shows that his ability has been awakened a long time ago. If even he can't awaken the fruit, then the awakening of other fruits is a joke. Therefore, although Whitebeard at this stage is physically weaker than Whitebeard at his peak, the development of fruit can make up for this, and now his strength is not weaker than at his peak. Hula lala, sorry, I was a little excited at the moment. Whitebeard took back his conqueror's hockey, which made Marco and others breathe a sigh of relief. He hadn't seen his father's conqueror's hockey like this for a long time. It's just outrageous. Father, is your body fully recovered? Marco asked with some expectation, and the other captains were also staring at their father. Recovered, I feel like my body is much younger. Whitebeard's words also made the captains cheer. The same 4 emperors, why is there such a big gap between the big MBH pirates and the Whitebeard pirates? Lin is somewhat envious of the relationship with the Whitebeard pirate group. In the same 4 emperors pirate group, his brothers and sisters were born to his mother, but they were only used by the aunt as a tool. She herself had to put on a disguise to live a better life. But look at the Whitebeard pirates, they are not biological, but this kind of relationship is much better than the previous Big Mom pirates. She has experienced all kinds of intrigues in the Big Mom pirate group, and even directly climbed to the point where she can stand next to her mother and become a popular person. She still has the ability to perceive words and feelings. In terms of mentality, Lin is not a child, it can be said that he is an old man. In this case, she could tell that the smiles of these people were from the heart, not fake, so such a family relationship made her very envious. Well, after all, you can't ask everyone to be the same, right, but it's true that you category big brothers still value family affection. And aren't you following us now? The situation on Wan Guo's side has changed a long time ago. Nami patted Burin's head. Although Burin was only a few years younger than her, she still had a lot to do with Burin knowing his past experience, even though her own past experience was not very good. I've already given you the bargaining chip for the first deal, Whitebeard, find an island just to try what your strength will look like after you recover, your bones should be rusty already. Luo Ning could sense the fighting spirit emanating from Whitebeard's body. He was a strong man, but Whitebeard had been unable to exert his full strength due to his illness. Now that he recovered, it was no wonder that his fighting spirit was not obvious. I have the same idea, Marco, find a deserted island nearby. Whitebeard looked at Marco. I see, father. After speaking, flames burst out from Marco's body, and then he turned into a phoenix and flew into the sky towards the original flying doctor. Whitebeard, to be honest, you take such good care of your sons, I think you need to give them some hell training. Advertisement. Looking at the flying Marco, Marco's ability is very powerful, and the phoenix fruit allows Marco to ignore his injuries. Even compared to Logia, he is not even afraid of armament hockey, only seawater and seastone can restrain him. Think about it carefully, 2 people of equal strength fought together, but one couldn't recover after being injured, and the other recovered in seconds. In this case, exchanging injuries for injuries can directly change the enemy to death. Logically speaking, with Marco's strength, it is actually very easy to deal with admiral-level powerhouses who are not very mobile. After all, he knows hockey, and his attack will cause damage to the opponent. It can be said that Marco can resist an admiral with his own immortality. In this case, Marco can even train without fear of injury, compete with opponents and the like. His combat power should improve very quickly, but perhaps it is because Whitebeard protects it so well, such a god-level fruit did not allow Marco to have 4 emperors-level combat power. Maybe, Whitebeard also realized that his sons seemed a little weak. There are even some captains who need to work together to do Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Marco is his favorite. Before Ace appeared, Whitebeard chose Marco as the second in command. Once he died, Marco would also take over. But now Marco, the second in command, will not be taken away by Ace, but relatively, Whitebeard will not be soft on him. It is estimated that Marco will be trained by Whitebeard in a certain period of time. In Marco's case, it shouldn't be too much of a problem to spend some world growth to reach the 4 emperors level. After all, his fruit ability is too buggy, he doesn't need hard power to reach this level, he only needs to reach the lowest line of the 4 emperors level, and when other people fight him, it will be the consequence of being forcibly ground to death. After a while, Marco flew back, and he found an island that was not very big, but enough to be used as a battlefield. But just when they were about to set off, they found that the crew members were all stunned. In this regard, although Marco was a little speechless, he didn't say much. After all, the power that Luo Ning erupted just now was intertwined with the power erupted by Whitebeard, which would indeed cause such consequences. Not everyone can bear such a collision of terrifying forces. Only Nami and others protected by Luo, so Good Zhao, Ning and the people on the warship did not fall into a coma. Quote. Then wait, otherwise if you disappear first, these guys will probably go straight to Impel down to find us to die. Luo Ning said with a smile. After that, he took out some things directly, and simply eat something to replenish his strength. What Luo Ning brought out also surprised Whitebeard and the others, especially the wine that Luo Ning brought out, which was much better than what they had on board. This led Whitebeard to even want to buy wine from Luo Ning. For this, Luo Ning gave him some very generously. Anyway, Luo Ning can make these things at will, and the consumption of Reiatsu and fantasy power is simply a drop in the bucket. The reason for doing this is also because he thinks Whitebeard is more pleasing to the eye. It's as simple as that, so he gave Whitebeard some drinks and replaced them with other people, which is simply impossible. Chapter 135 Battle on the Uninhabited Island. Open black lens bracket subscription 10 out of 10 close black lens bracket. After eating and drinking, the others slowly woke up. After they knew what happened to their father, they were all very happy. So knowing that the boss of this family is in good health, it is naturally not a problem. However, when they learned that Luo Ning was going to fight his father, everyone was very excited. After all, in their view, this was just a sparring, not a life and death fight. As for not being a pirate, if it's not right, then it's not right. With such a terrifying existence like Luo Ning staring at them, why do they still want to be pirates? Isn't it enough to build a country of their own? In fact, Whitebeard doesn't need much trouble, he just needs to restore his own country. When Whitebeard was young, the country he lived in was poor and couldn't pay the sky money, so he couldn't become a member country. These countries that are not member countries are naturally places where pirates and criminals are rampant. This is the consistent style of the world government. As long as it is not a member country, it will not be blessed, and it will even take the initiative to attract pirates to do things. Therefore, the world government will not completely attack pirates. They have this strength. But after the pirates are done fighting, what else do they earn? Whitebeard only needs to restore his own country. When Whitebeard 660 became a pirate when he was young, he sent all the treasures he got back to his hometown. This is a family-oriented person. No wonder there's a longing for family, and for that alone, Whitebeard is pretty darn good. Soon, everyone came to the uninhabited island. This uninhabited island is not very big, with a radius of tens of kilometers. Of course, it is enough as a battlefield, but such a battlefield may not be able to withstand the tossing of two people. Up. Can't we really go and see? Not being able to watch the battle made many people feel helpless, including Nami and others. After all, Whitebeard was known as the strongest man in the world before, and now it is Luo Ning. It is no wonder that the two strongest men in the world are fighting. No, but don't worry, we've sent Marco over with the phone bug, we just need to be on the boat to see. Vista said with a smile, but Marco at the moment was a little helpless, he was also very helpless because he could fly and turned into a tool man. The battle between Dad and Mr. Luo Ning will definitely affect a large area. Not to mention Mr. Luo Ning, I feel that I will be affected by a small CBBG even at this distance from my dad alone. The other captains know Whitebeard well, and now the ship is some distance from the island, but even that is dangerous. Whitebeard's ability can reach a wide range, which can be called pervert. During the Summit War, he shot for the first time, affecting Luffy and others who were daring to come, and directly pulled the boat over, controlling the water flow within a certain range, pervert to the extreme. Let's drive farther away, otherwise it will be troublesome to repair the ship if it is affected. After everyone discussed it, they drove the boat back a certain distance. Is it really necessary to do this to this extent? Bu Lin asked with some doubts, although he is the child of the ant, and he has been with the ant for a while. But after all, Bu Lin has never seen such a strong shot. It is necessary. Whitebeard's ability is shock fruit, known as the power of disaster, so we must stay away. Robin explained a little bit, and now they are waiting for the two to start fighting. Judging from the pictures taken by Marco, the two have come to an open area at this moment. Knowing your strength, then I will not be polite. Advertisement. Whitebeard said to shoot first, and in front of Luo Ning, Whitebeard didn't mean to hide his clumsiness or hold back his hands, because he knew that Luo Ning was very strong, and he was definitely not an opponent, but no matter what, it was necessary to shoot with all his strength. Whitebeard clenched his fist, wrapped in a layer of white light, and then smashed into the void. Crack. There was a sound of shattering mirrors in the void, as if the space was directly shattered by Whitebeard. Of course, this is just an illusion, not that the space was shattered by Whitebeard. But the moment such a crack appeared in the void, a terrifying shock gushed out like a shock wave. Boom. Luo Ning also punched directly, and the fist collided with the impact, followed by a violent explosion, and the entire island began to shake under the blow. Even the surrounding sea was shaking, and the aftermath of the shaking spread to the ship. Everyone who was watching the screen felt the shock of the hull very clearly. Beasta said, and then the ship continued to retreat for a distance. This fist was so powerful that the island shook like this. Back then, Whitebeard's strength surpassed Kaido's too much. Hula lala, that kid Kaido, he didn't dare to mess with Laozi when he was on the boat. It can only be said that Whitebeard in its heyday was completely superior to Kaido in combat power at that time. For comparison, Kozuki Oden could beat Kaido back then, but when facing Roger, Oden didn't have much resistance, and Whitebeard could use Conqueror's Haki to collide with Roger. Kaido's character is like this, no matter how much he pretends to be a tough guy, but it has always been like this. Whitebeard remembered what happened on the Rocks ship back then. Kaido didn't dare to provoke him back then. To put it bluntly, Kaido back then was bullying the weak and fearing the hard. Luo Ning felt a little emotional. The power of this Whitebeard is really terrifying, plus the ability of shock fruit, it can be called pervert. Nice power, Whitebeard, you are worthy of being the strongest man in the world. Kaido dares to bully you for being too old. Even when hard power can't do it, Kaido will choose to use conspiracy. It actually came here. It seems that after the old man recovers from his injuries, his combat strength is not comparable to before. Let's step back. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Don't you need to use Conqueror's winding? I am very interested in this power. Marco, who was watching from the closest distance, wondered what would happen to him with this fist, whether he would be directly smashed. Hiss. So scary. After the smoke completely dissipated, looking from the sky, one could clearly see that the terrifying cracks on the ground had spread to the edge of the island. With just one collision, the island turned into a huge spider web. Kaido just took advantage of Whitebeard's old age to dare to trouble Whitebeard a little bit. Luo Ning said that before the Conquerors was entangled, he thought that this ability was used to invite miscellaneous soldiers to pretend, but only after the Conquerors was entangled did he realize that the power of the Conquerors is not just a little bit. Chapter 136 The Power of the Top Conquerors Open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. Conqueror's winding, I hardly ever use it after my health problems. Whitebeard felt a little nostalgic. Conqueror's entanglement was undoubtedly very powerful, but to put it bluntly, it was just a means of increasing, just like the armed color entanglement, but a little more powerful. Everything must be based on Whitebeard himself. If Whitebeard's body is not good enough, Conqueror's winding will not be able to do it. But now that Luo Ning has said everything, Whitebeard's body has recovered now, so he naturally has to give it a try. Whitebeard's Conqueror's haki came out through his body, and then entangled Kong Yunchi. After the Conquerors entangled, a strange red light appeared on the weapon. Immediately afterwards, Whitebeard directly raised Kong Yunchi in his hand, and the knife slashed towards Luo Ning. Luo Ning's eyes lit up when he saw this scene, and he directly used his own arm to meet Whitebeard's blow. The two attacks collided, but they didn't completely collide with each other. Luo Ning felt that Whitebeard's Conqueror's haki seemed to form a real shield, so that Luo Ning's arm and Kong Yunchi did not collide. But this time the collision caused the entire island to emit a huge roar, and a large number of cracks appeared in an instant, and even began to collapse. You know, this time Whitebeard didn't use Shock Fruit's ability, but simply used the Overlord Royal Color Entanglement. In Luo Ning's opinion, this trick is really pervert, and it can be said to be a cheating device. You must know that Conqueror's haki can only be born with it, which means it cannot be obtained through cultivation. Compared with other people, they can only practice other two-color haki. Although armament haki has been developed to ultimate, for example, Garp and others are also very strong, but those who have Conqueror's haki seem to have an extra shortcut. And these haki are also of different types. Two people fight against each other, and when both sides have almost used up their weapons, suddenly the other party directly pulls out Conqueror's haki, which is unacceptable. Whitebeard's Conqueror's entanglement is powerful. Although the range cannot be compared with his shock fruit, the power is not weak at all. Even compared to the scattered power of shock fruit, the power of this move is truly terrifying. Can't you cut through your defense like this? How strong is your strength? To be honest, Whitebeard is a bit incomprehensible now. This move of his is already considered a peak blow, but with such strength, he can't even cut the skin of Luo Ning's hand, which is outrageous to the extreme. I'm not very clear about it, but I know one thing, even if your strength just a few times stronger is useless to me. Luo Ning said that he added too much freedom, and he didn't even use his fantasy ability much. This attack was almost completely blocked by his body's own defense. Now his body is already monster level among monsters, and with the power of fantasy, Luo Ning really can't think of anyone who will be his opponent, so the so-called Uranus is probably useless to him now. After all, no matter how powerful Uranus is, can it surpass the world's top combat power by dozens of times? And even if it exceeds dozens of times, it is not in vain that Luo Ning's single body strength has reached this level. Furthermore, according to the current situation of Poseidon and Pluton, no matter how strong Uranus is, it is impossible for them to be too strong, so Luo Ning basically does not need to worry. It really is a monster-like existence, much scarier than the rocks back then. Luo Ning reminded Whitebeard of the rocks back then. The rocks was overthrown by the joint efforts of Garp and Roger. The two of them were basically at their peak at that time, which shows the terrifying fighting power of rocks. But now comparing Luo Ning and rocks, Whitebeard suddenly felt that rocks' strength was too good to be noticed at all. At least if he goes down this knife, it is impossible for the rocks in his peak to catch it so easily. Advertisement. Luo Ning didn't use any other power at all, just collided with physical power, which was simply outrageous to the extreme. Back then he had a knife fight with Roger, although both of them had nothing to do, both of their tricks were resisted. But back then they all used conquerors to entangle and collide, which was equivalent to the big move colliding. What about Luo Ning? You might as well block it with one hand, it's totally disrespectful. Whitebeard, you don't want to throw in the towel? Luo Ning asked with a smile. Of course not, Laozi is Whitebeard. Luo Ning said with a smile, as a cheat player, with such a big cheat, it is natural to quickly establish an advantage. He has always been unable to understand some protagonists. Obviously cheats can quickly make people stronger, but these people always make some strange operations. The two began to collide again, this time Whitebeard was in full swing, and Haki's ability exploded to the limit. Marco in the sky was also affected and could only continue to rise up. As for the ships in the distance, they retreated again and again. After such a fierce battle lasted for a few minutes, the island was directly blasted into a pile of debris by the aftermath of the force and sank to the bottom of the sea. Whitebeard said that it was not that he was ignorant, but that Luo Ning pervert was a bit too much. I lost this time. I have to say that you are a monster-like existence. If I hadn't experienced it myself, I would never have believed that such an existence existed in this world before this. At this moment, Whitebeard has no power to fight, because there is no ground to stand on, not to mention that there is still seawater under his feet, so Whitebeard is unable to fight anymore, but an existence like Whitebeard still has some strength even if he falls into the sea. Luo Ning's strength has completely surpassed them by several grades. But he still hasn't stopped earning free points, he will not be satisfied with the status quo, he is a very greedy worker. The stronger the existence, the less the seawater will weaken them. Even deliberately suppressing his own growth rate, Luo Ning would not do that, and now he is already invincible. The entire island and the surrounding sea area seemed to be entangled by natural disasters, and there were constant roars, vibrations continued. This is simply unbelievable to the extreme. Luo Ning's strength is too strong. This feeling is like the first time Whitebeard met the world's top powerhouse, just like Zoro felt the power of Hawkeye for the first time. Even though he knew that Luo Ning's strength was terrifying, and he knew that he could not defeat Luo Ning, but who was Whitebeard? It was impossible to simply admit defeat. But Whitebeard is not the noob he was back then, nor is he the blind man like Zoro. Well, I'm special after all. Chapter 137 Whitebeard, hitting Kaido. Laozi also joined. Open black lens bracket, subscribe close black lens bracket. Whitebeard lost. Although they had already prepared for it, it was still a shock to the Whitebeard Pirates. After all, Whitebeard is an invincible existence in their eyes, and losing now is indeed a bit unacceptable. As for the captains, Luo Ning also asked them if they want to admit defeat, and basically surrendered instantly. This is quite normal. After all, Whitebeard lost. Luo Ning has now collected all the free points on Whitebeard's side, so the next step is the last goal. Are you going to do something to that kid Kaido? That's not bad, so join our group. After Whitebeard heard that Luo Ning's plan was to deal with Kaido, he also wanted to get involved. You're for that Kozuki Oden guy. Luo Ning looked at Whitebeard. He, 073, almost knew Whitebeard's purpose. Whitebeard and Kaido didn't have much conflict, the biggest problem was Kozuki Oden. When Kozuki Oden was alive, he didn't ask for help, and Whitebeard didn't know the specific situation. When he knew it, Kozuki Oden had already died. And Kozuki Oden's status in Whitebeard's heart was not comparable to that of Ace. Furthermore, Kozuki Oden disembarked, Whitebeard and Kaido collided, and the final result can be imagined. Compared with Ace, Kozuki Oden's position in Whitebeard's heart is not as good as Ace's, and Kozuki Oden has already died. If the guy is still alive and calls for help or is known by Whitebeard, Whitebeard will indeed help. But the problem is that Kozuki Oden is dead. Whitebeard dares to attack Naval Headquarters. His purpose is not to kill, but to save people. It can be done. But wanting to kill Kaido to avenge Kozuki Oden, Whitebeard thinks he can't do it. The four emperors themselves are at the same level. Although there is a small gap in strength, it is indeed difficult for Whitebeard to beat Kaido, who is now at his peak, due to his age and his dark wounds. This point Whitebeard himself admits that hitting Naval Headquarters to save Ace is something he can do desperately, but he can't do it at all if he wants to kill Kaido. If you are young and at your peak, you can try it, but when you are old, Whitebeard can't do it at all. So he never chose to avenge Kozuki Oden, and he didn't even allow his sons to trouble Kaido, because he knew that if his pirate group really rushed over, he would be the one who would suffer in the end. As long as Kaido spends time with himself, he will soon run out of fuel and be exhausted by Kaido. At that time, these people under his banner will not be Kaido's opponents at all, although once they go to take revenge, the entire Whitebeard pirate group will be buried directly. This is also where Whitebeard is very helpless, but it is different now, his strength has been fully restored, and there are existences like Luo Ning who want to find Kaido's troubles. That being the case, why not take this opportunity to avenge Kozuki Oden? Hula lala, I was noticed by you. Indeed, I have always wanted to avenge Oden, but I couldn't do it in the past, but now I can give it a try. Add your words. There is no suspense, Whitebeard said with a smile. Advertisement. I really don't know what's so good about this guy, you all admire him so much. In Luo Ning's view, this guy is a fool, any guy who is completely unsuitable for actual operations. Oden isn't that great of a guy, and in some ways he's pretty much hated. But one thing, if you treat him as a brother, he will truly treat you as a brother, and even if you ask him for help, he will spare no effort to help you. This guy also stayed on my boat back then, not to mention other aspects, this alone is enough. Whitebeard said with a smile, indeed, many things about Kozuki Oden are ridiculous, but it is only good for his own people. Hearing what Whitebeard said, Luo Ning did not refute. Indeed, although Kozuki Oden is a bit stupid, and will also snatch other people's goods in the street, this series of operations has completely ruined Kozuki Oden's people. But it's really good to be meaningful to yourself. Even the Kurozumi Orochi was recommended by Kozuki Oden back then, and such a disaster was planted in the end. For his own people, Kozuki Oden can carry his subordinates down the pan, and can dance for the people of Wano Kuni to lose face. This series of operations is really good for his own people, but that's all. After losing this point, Kozuki Oden really doesn't have any bright spots. The character design is completely in conflict with the character itself, so Luo Ning can't get any favorability towards him. As for his son Momonosuke, he wasn't a good thing in itself. Although many traversers wanted to kill the little b*********d Momonosuke, Luo Ning didn't think so. He intends to turn Momonosuke into a eunuch, or turn him into a woman. Although this kind of thing seems to be only possible for king, Luo Ning's fantasy power can also do it. It is estimated that this guy will be desperate at that time. This is the biggest punishment. Momonosuke is actually a mass of mud that can't support the wall. Why do you say that? Momonosuke was sent away directly back then. He didn't experience everything after Wano Kuni. And after coming to this time and space, Momonosuke didn't think about improving himself and restoring the country as soon as possible, but took advantage of others for himself. To put it bluntly, this is a waste, and Kozuki Hiyori is better than him in this respect. Even if Wano Kuni is liberated, Momonosuke is not suitable to be this general. Although the position should be his right, but he will have many disadvantages after becoming a general. Because he didn't share the troubles with Wano Kuni's people in 3.8, he was just sent directly to this time and space. Daddy, are we going to Wano Kuni? Whitebeard Pirates, the captain of the 16th Division Izo asked with some surprise. You know he is from Wano Kuni. But he also knows the current situation of Wano Kuni, although he also wants to save Wano Kuni, but his father can't kill Kaido at all. In the situation where this situation cannot be broken, he doesn't know what to do. But now there is hope. If Luo Ning and Whitebeard make a move together, it will not be a problem to solve Wano Kuni's problem. In short, he is very excited now, and he can't wait to return to Wano Kuni immediately to solve the crisis in Wano Kuni. Chapter 138 Whitebeard withdraws from the ranks of pirates. Open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. Don't worry, we can't make too many moves this time, otherwise Kaido will take precautions in advance. Whitebeard warned that he was not afraid of Kaido's defense, but with Kaido's personality, he might find hostages, so Whitebeard had to be on guard. Rushing forward rashly would suffer a big loss. It's very simple. Declare to the outside world that you Whitebeard will withdraw from the ranks of pirates and establish a nation, and then I will create some fake you to come out. To deal with Kaido, they don't need too many people, just need the captains and you to go out. Luo Ning said with a smile that he can create Whitebeard and others with the power of fantasy. In this way, the false body is here, no matter how Kaido stares at it, the final result is useless. By the time Kaido reacted, Luo Ning and others had already gone inside Wano Kuni. As long as people arrive at Wano Kuni, Kaido will have to weigh his own weight if he wants to take hostages. Nice method. Naturally, Whitebeard will not break the contract. After all, he promised Luo Ning Jangwo to quit the ranks of pirates. 21. After that, Luo Ning contacted Morgans and asked him to bring a group of people to Whitebeard's site. Half a month later, Morgans and others conducted a live broadcast and news distribution, and Whitebeard quit the ranks of pirates and established the Whitebeard Kingdom. Well, the name is somewhat unexpected. But this was all approved by Whitebeard and others. Luo Ning really has to admire their aesthetics, which is really weird. But this is his own business, and he doesn't bother to care about it, but once the news gets out, it will really be a stormy sea. After all, there are only 4 New World 4 emperors, and now that one is dead and one is withdrawn, there are only 2 left. But neither the one who died nor the one who quit they couldn't handle. It turned out to be the same as the founding of the world. Is this his purpose? To let the pirates exist in another way, while eliminating the pirates, it will not affect the pattern of New World. What a great family destruction. Shanks had nothing to say after reading the newspaper. Shanks, we have to make preparations early. If there is no accident, he will shoot Kaido. This is almost a certainty. New World will be transformed into another pattern by him. Although these people are not considered his subordinates, other people will listen to him if he makes any unreasonable demands. Whitebeard's side is better, and Wang Guo's side will probably obey. The pattern of New World has changed. If we continue to be pirates, the consequences may not be so good. Beckman said, he can see that Luo Ning has been changing the pattern of the sea. Although there seems to be no turmoil, it has changed beyond recognition. On Kaido's side, Luo Ning can completely deal with the opponent in the same way as he dealt with Wang Guo, and can easily take down the opponent's territory. In this way, only Shanks is left in the New World 4 emperors. Others withdraw from the ranks of pirates, then all the contradictions will be concentrated on Shanks. Although Shanks is the 4 emperors, life would not be so easy for the 4 emperors alone. You mean that we also quit the ranks of pirates? Shanks frowned. Advertisement. That's right, not to mention quitting right now, at least you need to make these preparations. The purpose of Luo Ning is to fight pirates. As the last pirate leader, we will definitely be targeted. If he is in a good mood, he may let us withdraw voluntarily, but if he is in a bad mood, he can completely destroy us. After all, among the territories of the 4 emperors, our territory is the smallest and the least powerful. A few other people can swallow our territory and make the entire New World into 3 pieces. After analyzing the situation, Beckman found that it was urgent. I know, let's prepare first. No one thought that such a terrifying existence would emerge from the sea. Shanks is not an idiot either, he wants to train the next generation of One Piece just to succeed Roger. And what is Roger's idea? It is nothing more than to find a way to overthrow the world government. Although what he has done is to help the world government consolidate its foundation, Shanks still continues according to his route. But this does not mean that Shanks is an idiot. New World is now in this situation, and the power of world government will be suppressed again. These countries will all belong to the joining countries of Impel Down. And this time there will never be the same situation as the Big Mom pirates. On the contrary, they persuaded Whitebeard to withdraw directly from the ranks of pirates and successfully established a new country. In this way, 030 almost made Akainu's eyeballs pop out. Especially Whitebeard, you must know that the country before Whitebeard was dragged down by the heavenly gold of the world government. As a result, they didn't wait for this opportunity. On the contrary, the situation on New World's side became even more impenetrable. There is a revolutionary army on the other side of the world, and the world government will be suppressed at that time. Not to mention Shanks, Akainu on the other side is even more depressed. He has been thinking about looking for opportunities to enter the New World and Luo Ning to enter the Whitebeard Pirates. In his opinion, this is another opportunity. So this is the most uncomfortable point for Akainu. It is reasonable to say that the other party is not a criminal anymore, and Marine can go to Afghanistan to open a branch, but the problem is that they have a good relationship with Impel Down, not with their world government. They used to move 4 emperors, other 4 emperors may choose to watch the show or even add insult to injury. But what he didn't expect was that Luo Ning also changed his operation. He didn't directly kill Whitebeard or arrest the people under Whitebeard. Wang Guo will not have anything to do with the world government, so there may be no Marine stationed there. Now the situation is getting worse. The Big Mom pirates are not of one mind, so Luo Ning can make Katakuri the boss, but what about Whitebeard? Almost monolithic. In a hurry, they will definitely deal with the revolutionary army directly. With Luo Ning's character, they will definitely intervene, and they will definitely be on the side of the revolutionary army, so Kex doesn't even have to think about it and knows what to do next. In his opinion, Whitebeard is the old stubborn among the old stubborn, and he didn't expect to compromise. He suddenly felt that he was a bit sloppy as the marshal. All the troublesome things happened during her tenure. Heartless. But it's different now, any one of them will be targeted by the others. Chapter 139 Worried Kaido open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. Captain, that old fellow Whitebeard has also quit the ranks of pirates, and even established a nation. Luo Ning's next target will be us, what shall we do now? After reading the contents of the newspaper, Jin couldn't help but open his mouth. He was quite happy to see the other 4 emperors being burned before, but now the fire is almost burning them. What will they do then? What are you afraid of? If they dare to come, Boss Kaido will definitely blow their heads. The Ship King Jack said, as the Ship King and the most reckless man in the pirate world, he said that there is nothing to be afraid of. Boom. However, in the next second, he saw a huge mace sweeping towards him, and the others were swept away by Kaido's stick before they could react. It can be said to be an old tragedy. When will this guy learn to be better? He's completely out of his mind. Quinn shook his head. Kaido plus their 3 disasters, and the 4 leaders of the Beast's pirates, only Jack has no brains. In this situation, Quinn dared to say that Kaido is also false. After all, Kaido is not such a tough guy as rumored by the outside world. Under this kind of request, Kaido will find a way to escape if he can't do it, so now Jack will be taken care of by Kaido. It's just for this guy to wake up. Captain, how do we pay back? Because of Jack's interruption, Kaido didn't speak, and now Jin asked again. Keep an eye on them. As soon as they come, we will leave directly. The big deal is to develop in another place. In short, don't be caught by him. Kaido can only think of this way now. The worst is to abandon his pirate group and leave with some important possessions and important people. Kaido is flexible. It seems that this is the only way to go. If we don't do this, all of us may be stuck in it. Jin is also very helpless. None of them are idiots. To be honest, they are really reluctant. After all, they have been operating here for so many years, it's strange to get used to leaving suddenly. After that, they also found someone to continue to watch the movements of Whitebeard and others, including Luo Ning, but at this moment, this group of people has changed a ship and sent them to the sky to fly to Wano. Being able to make ships fly, I almost thought it was the ability of that old guy, Golden Lion, but that old guy should be shut down by you again in Impel Down. Whitebeard looked at the clouds below the deck and said, only the Golden Lion had this ability back then. That's right, after all, this old guy wants to make trouble, so I took him back, and it's not an important thing. Because of the rudder and the loss of both legs, except for the fruit ability is not weak, other aspects of Golden Lion have regressed to an exaggerated level. Luo Ning shook his head. Golden Lion's combat strength was too severely damaged, and he couldn't continue to join the ranks of Whitebeard and others. In this way, chatting along the way, everyone soon arrived in Wano territory. After all, they were flying, so the speed was naturally extremely fast. Wano did not start a country. Because of Kaido and Orochi's rule, Wano is now in a very bad situation. Only the City of Flowers ruled by Orochi is better. Other places are in a mess. It can only be said that Orochi and Kaido are doing their own thing, making so much sewage and dumping it everywhere. These people have no awareness of environmental protection at all. They only know how to make money and make money again, completely ignoring what Wano will become in a few years. Advertisement. Technology has developed very crookedly. There is not even a clear law, let alone this so-called environmental awareness. It can only be said that these people are a group of short-sighted guys, and they are really responsible for the smog in their own territory. The ship landed in Wano and found a place to disembark. After going ashore, Yizang was supposed to be the next thing to do, but Yizang was a little embarrassed because he hadn't been back for many years, so although he still knew some locations, he didn't know what the current situation of these places was. It would be the end of the calf if he accidentally led everyone into the other people's base camp. Let's go to the capital of flowers first. I'll hide us first, so that the other party will not find us easily. After arriving in the capital of flowers, find Kozuki Hiyori, and then deal with the Kurozumi Orochi, so that Kozuki Hiyori becomes Wano Kuni's general. Luo Ning's idea is very simple, just go to Kozuki Hiyori directly. That little guy Hiyori. But Wano Kuni should be the general of that kid, Momonosuke. Whitebeard spoke up. You can't say that. When Madam sent Momonosuke and others away, they will go to 20 years later, that is to say, they don't exist in this world now. Quote. Furthermore, the current Wano Kuni, only Kozuki Hiyori who has been through thick and thin can have some prestige, not a kid who is only a few years old, who knows nothing and has no experience. Luo Ning's words made Whitebeard and others nod. Indeed, comparing this point, Momonosuke cannot become the leader of Wano Kuni. The only one who fits right now is Kozuki Hiyori, Momonosuke's younger sister. She is also the one who is most recognized by others. But how do we find Miss Rahei? We haven't been in contact for so many years, and we can't even get in touch with anyone else. Miss Rahei was only 6 years old back then, and she probably has grown up to be unrecognizable by now. Also, if there is an emergency, it may be that Miss Rahei has already. Izo didn't dare to talk about it later. After all, it would be a very bad thing if Kozuki Hiyori died. If Nuo Hao Xiaori dies, I will make these people pay a heavy price. You know, Kozuki Hiyori was born on the Mobity back then, and was favored by all the Whitebeard staff at that time. So much so that Kozuki Hiyori at the time was a bit of a wild child. Often greets Momonosuke with flying kicks, and I have to say Kozuki Hiyori did a great job. It can be said that Whitebeard completely regards Kozuki Hiyori as his younger generation. Don't get excited. People are still alive. After we arrive at the Flower City, we will naturally find each other, so calm down your emotions. Looking at this group of people who were about to go berserk, Luo Ning was also speechless, one by one, and they didn't really die. As for being so excited. But this is normal. Afterwards, under the leadership of Yizang, everyone went to the capital of flowers, the most critical place, but it was a bit uncomfortable along the way. Chapter 140 Kozuki Hiyori open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. Damn Kaido, damn Orochi, for making Wano Kuni into such a scourge. Along the way, the situation at Wano Kuni has been nothing short of dire. Because of the discharge of sewage, rivers everywhere have been affected. The places where the rivers flow have caused the surrounding land to be polluted, making it difficult to grow food, and the environment has been destroyed. It is also poisonous. In the original book, Zoro also ate the meat of these guys, but because the meat of these guys was poisonous, he was also affected a little. It can be said that the whole Wano Kuni is now completely in a miasma. Now the last piece of pure land in Wano Kuni is the capital of flowers, because the Orochi lives there, and the people who support the Orochi live there. As for those who fight against the Orochi, they are all driven to other areas and locked in prisons. Do coolly and go. Luo Ning shook his head. Kozuki Oden back then was extremely naive, even to the point of being stupid. Who is Orochi? He dared to believe what the other party said, so that it took several years, and finally Orochi dealt with almost all the 420 members of the party, before Kozuki Oden knew to stand up and resist. Then it was overcast by Kaido and Orochi. This is also the most thorough point of the collapse of Kaido's character design. Kaido was originally a tough guy character design, but what happened? Although this clone fruit-capable person was not sent by him, he also acquiesced to the opponent's operation. Afterwards, this guy killed the fruit-capable user as an afterthought, and then ran to Kozuki Oden to talk about it with the other party. But I didn't see any other reactions from him when frying. Kaido gives people the feeling that they are in the Torii archway. Kurozumi Orochi is a real villain, and Kaido is a hypocrite who is not even as good as a real villain. The entire Wano Kuni series is the most serious chapter in the collapse of human design, and I don't know what happened. Moreover, the character design can be described as extremely awkward. The deformed characters, Momonosuke, Deo, Kaido, Kozuki Oden, etc., are all weird, and they cannot be compared with the previous ones. Okay, don't feel emotional here, the city of flowers is ahead. After Luo Ning finished speaking, everyone also saw the appearance of the Flower City. This place is completely different from the outside world. It is a very beautiful city, and the environment is also very good. It is not comparable to those barren places before. Although it is very beautiful, it is disgusting that such a dirty guy is buried under such a beautiful place. Although Marco and the others were also impressed by the beauty of this place, they were extremely upset when they thought that the controller here was a big snake. It's no use talking about it now, let's go and find Guangming Rahei, I know where she is. In fact, there are many ways for Luo Ning to find Kozuki Hiyori. First of all, he has a compass in his hand, which is the most convenient and simple way. After that, just find someone to ask where the Ouran Shaozi is. Kozuki Hiyori became an Ouran, and used his status to deceive many people into bankruptcy, and gave the money to people in other regions to buy food. It can only be said that Kozuki Hiyori is also doing his best to help other people. This was supposed to be what Momonosuke should do, but this B*********** D is full of lust except for lust. It's normal to be lustful, as long as it's not crooked. Men are all lustful, but at least you have to distinguish between primary and secondary. Advertisement. Momonosuke doesn't know the priority at all. Luo Ning used the compass to locate Kozuki Hiyori, and the group passed by in such a swaggering manner that no one could see them on the street now. Otherwise, to be honest, this group of people would be too conspicuous. Especially Whitebeard, a few meters tall as a mobile CBBA house here. During the process of coming over, Luo Ning also explained the current situation of Kozuki Hiyori. It seems that Xiao Hiyori has indeed done a lot of things. Whitebeard also felt a little emotional after knowing what Kozuki Hiyori had been through these years. In fact, Kozuki Hiyori can grow up under the protection of other people without any worries, but she also took the initiative to take part of the responsibility. To be honest, in Luo Ning's opinion, it is indeed very good. And know how to protect herself, and use the big snake's love for her to prevent other people from doing anything to her. For Orochi, he also uses the fact that Orochi likes himself to be able to get rid of Orochi every time. This is also where Kozuki Hiyori is very good, otherwise she would have been eaten and wiped out by others. I have to say that she is indeed very capable. Waiting until night, when Kozuki Hiyori was about to rest, a group of people appeared directly in front of Kozuki Hiyori, almost scaring Kozuki Hiyori to death. You, Father Bai Xiaoji. After seeing this group of people, Kozuki Hiyori was first surprised, then surprised again, and then called Whitebeard directly. Luo Ning felt a little weird when he heard this name, but it was indeed what Kozuki Oden called Whitebeard back then, Bai Xiaoji, and the relationship between Kozuki Oden and Whitebeard should be regarded as a brotherly relationship, not a father-son relationship. Whitebeard used to call Kozuki Oden brother instead of son. For Whitebeard, who likes to adopt sons, it is indeed a bit strange to adopt a younger brother. I haven't seen you for a long time, Hiyori, I'm really sorry, I didn't catch up with Oden brother when something happened. Whitebeard is also helpless, as long as Kaido can be killed, he will not be silent all the time. Now I feel a little bit sorry, after all, he is also very loyal. No, Daddy Bai Xiaoji, after all, this is our own business at Wano-kuni, and Kaido's influence is too great. Bright Day and himself are also very aware of this, Whitebeard can't kill Kaido, so he can't help at all. And Kozuki Oden never approached Whitebeard. Anyway, now that we're here, Kaido and Orochi, we'll make them pay. Marco and the others also gritted their teeth. If you want to do it, take it early. Now that you have found the key person, you only need to kill Orochi, and then Kozuki Hiyori will directly take over, and then you can use this to get rid of all Orochi's henchmen. Although Kaido has some minions here, it doesn't matter. As long as you keep them, it won't be a problem to attack Kaido. Before, they were afraid that Kaido would suddenly come to take hostages and threaten them. Now that they have no worries and Kozuki Hiyori is in place, they can start the war directly.